all, on behalf of the Aligarh Alumni Association, I'd like to welcome you all, especially our guests from across the globe. We have the pleasure and honor to host Dr. Zafar Iqbal Sahab, who we all know is a former captain of Indian hockey team and as well as the coach team. And thank you, Zafar, for joining us and to be our guest today. And also, I'd like to welcome Professor Azmi Dukhsafi, who is a very senior faculty member from Aligarh Muslim University, Professor Shafiq Qadwai Saab, Professor Asim Siddiqui Saab. And these guests will talk about the contribution of Aligarh Muslim University in literature in different subjects of the literature. And also, we have a guest in the sports category, Mr. Faisal Salim from Phoenix, Arizona, who is one of our hosts and a senior member, and Faisal Ziauddin Saab, Kamran Ziauddin Saab, Professor Amjad Rizvi Saab, who is a Games Secretary of Aligarh Muslim University. He will also join the panel discussion in the sports section. And also we have Ahmed Afsar, who's a former captain of Riding Club, Faisal Ziauddin Saab, former captain of Tennis Club, Parvez Khan Saab, former captain of Cricket Club, and few other senior members of the sports fraternity. They all have gathered here. So I will not take much time, as we all know that Aligarh Alumni Association is a non-profit, non-political organization based in Washington, D.C. area, and it's continuously operating since its inception in 1975. And for the sake of record, this is the oldest alumni association outside of Indian subcontinent. So once again, I would like to welcome you all, and I hope you will enjoy the program. So before moving to the first session, and request the organizer of the first session, AMU in literature, I will request our senior member and a very senior poet, Dr. Abdullah Saab, to please preside the first session. And I will request the coordinator of the first session, Dr. Razi Raziuddin Saab, to please start the program. Dr. Razi Raziuddin Saab.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum. This is Razi. I do not know whether the communication should be in English or in Urdu, but I will try to have a blended language. Aligarh ki jo cultural zaban hai wo Urdu hai. So we have invited three distinguished speakers to shed some lights on three distinct literary languages, English, Persian, and Urdu. For English, the speaker is Professor Asim Siddiqui, who used to be chairman and now a senior professor in the Department of English. Professor Shafiq Qadwai, who is a chairman and professor in mass communication, but everybody knows that he is so much known in Urdu language and literature. So he is taking care of the Urdu literature section. And Professor Azrami Dukhsafi, who used to be chairman and senior professor and director of the Institute of Persian Studies at Aligarh, will take care of the Persian language, contribution of Persian language from Aligarh department, as well as the individuals from the Aligarh. So let's start the first with the first speaker. I do not have, and I am not going to have a more detailed introduction because time is really short and they have been given only 15 minutes. Professor Asim Siddiqui has done his PhD on Mark Twain. That's a big thing for us living in America. And he also was a Fulbright Fellow at New York University in, I think, 2007. And he is a member of many literary societies and journals. He regularly contributes in national newspapers like The Hindu, NDTV appearance, and writes columns on as a film critic, as well as on the languages. And so that's, I think, beyond us, there's no need. He has a very well-established career and well-known. So Professor Asim Siddiqui, please take your precious 15, 16 minutes time. Asim?
Yeah, thank you, Razi Saab. Thank you, Afzal Usmani Saab, and thank you, my seniors, for giving me this platform Uh, I'm very happy to be part of this very important occasion. Since there are only 15 minutes, and in 15 minutes, I have to give you some sense of AMU's contribution to English literature. So I'll be very brief. We all know that when in 1877 AMU College was established, at that time English was an important subject. That means English was an important subject right from the time of AMU's inception. And early on, we had number of English professors who were part of the English department. Some very important names at that time were A. A. Nesbitt, L. Tipping, F. J. Moss, Chase, M. Collins, and many others. But the most important name in English literature at that time was that of Sir Walter Raleigh. Walter Raleigh joined the department in 1885. An interesting thing about Walter Raleigh is that when he joined the department, he was a very young scholar. And what is even more remarkable is that he was professor of English at AMU College, and it also reveals Sir Syed Ahmad Khan's insights that he was a professor of English at AMU College in 1885, and he worked here for about 2 years, and he would become professor of English at Oxford. In fact, he was the first chair at Oxford. You know that Oxford University did not have the chair of English department. So when it started, and it was in early 20th century, Walter Raleigh had already served as professor. So there he became professor in 1904. And even at that time, he became professor of English, the first chair at Oxford, because of his promise, not because of his performance. That means he had not published enough, but he was considered very bright, and so he was made professor. So something to feel proud of, because later he will be knighted also, and we call him Sir Walter Raleigh. In fact, his legacy is very much there in the department. There is a very active Raleigh Literary Society which organizes programs, events, and these programs are attended, very well attended. So Walter Raleigh later wrote books on Wordsworth, on Milton. He wrote a very important book on his style. And sometime later, he felt a bit fatigued by his interest in literature, and he thought that, okay, his interest lies in First World War. And so he became wars correspondent also. But when we recall Walter Raleigh, we also recall another important aspect of his self, and that was his letters. And in those letters, he always remembered Aligarh very fondly. In fact, one very important Professor Morrison, he said that Walter Raleigh sometimes regretted that he could not make Aligarh his place, and he had to leave early. After Walter Raleigh also, we had number of very distinguished English professors. E.C. Dickinson was one of them, and of course, one very important professor was Fielden. So this was all before independence. That means already these English professors had given a certain direction to English studies. But at that time, literature was read, it was enjoyed, students learned language, but research was not an activity as such. And that's why you'll see that not many scholars of that time who joined the department, they were not publishing heavily. And there were no researchers, no students were joining PhD programs. There were no PhD programs as such. In fact, even when I joined PhD, and it was in late 80s, even at that time, say there was not say great rush for PhD. So first time when research became an important activity in the department, it was during the period of one very distinguished professor. He was Emilendu Bose. Bose Saab also took interest in language and he also took interest in literature. But it was basically his say interest in research, and later he also wrote a lot on literature. He also wrote columns, and he left for Calcutta, and there also he was a very established name. So that was an important phase when research got a boost in the Department of English. During the period of Badruddin Tayyab, and you know that Badruddin Tayyab was a real aristocrat. He was a real, say, lover of English language. And at that time, many departments also were expanded. And also, he also took interest in English. And consequently, you see that number of scholars from British Council visited the department, and number of, say, teachers from the department went to, say, different places. So that means this kind of exchange where scholars would go to England and scholars will come from England, this also gave a certain boost to teaching of English in the department. And the result was that the generation after that took great interest in literature. And so at that time, one very important phase started, and that was the phase when Professor Asloob Ahmed Ansari became the head of the department. I have always maintained that that period when you had a head of the department for about 20 years, so uh, a head could probably destroy a department, and a head could also, in fact, make a department. So Asloob Saab really made the department because the head also do lots of positive things. So Asloob Saab was a very important head of the department. And I'll say that he himself wrote regularly. He himself wrote regularly on Iqbal, on Ghalib, and on Shakespeare. These were his special interests. And of course, he was also a very important Blake scholar. So here we can also mention one very important journal that he started, and this was Aligarh Journal of English Studies. Today you have lots of journals. In fact, you have journals coming up from all possible places, from all possible small places. But at that time, there were not many journals in English studies. So Aligarh Journal of English Studies is so important, and in fact, I can say that at one time it was the most important journal. It started in 1976, and I jokingly say that 1976 is important for two things. One, West Indies established its superiority in the field of cricket, and you know that that was the time when Viv Richards and Holding, and they were just demolishing England in England. But back in Aligarh, this journal also played a very important role. And why? Because all important names in English studies, all important names. And here I can include Wilson Knight, I can include Catherine Rain, I can include Kenneth Muir, I can include Elsie Knight, and the most important name in English criticism, F.R. Lewis. They all wrote for this journal. And those of us who are writing for journals know that how difficult it is to get international scholars, established international scholars to write for the journal. So that was the standing of the journal. And I'll say that Asloob Saab himself published a great deal. After Asloob Saab, I'll also name some important scholars in the department, Professor Masoodul Hassan, and he also wrote quite a lot after retirement. And in fact, he would say, when I asked him, sir, you are writing so much, he said that अपनी पेंशन अपनी पेंशन को जस्टिफाई करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ, उसका हक अदा करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूँ. So after retirement, he was even more active. And one very important book that Masood Saab published, it was Sufism in English Literature. It's a remarkable study. And in fact, it is a kind of study which probably others can take insights from and probably carry forward that work. I'll also mention Professor Zahida Zaidi. She was a playwright, she was a poet, and she also has a very important collection of poetry that was Broken Mirror in English. And you know that she also translated many continental novelists, many important novelists like Chekhov she translated, Ionesco she translated, Prandello she translated. So that way, her contribution to English literature is, or to world literature, is really remarkable. Another important scholar, probably the best teacher I have ever met, either in India or maybe in United States of America, he was Professor Maqbul Hassan Khan. And I'll say that I'm lucky that I was his student. I'll especially mention two of his very important works. Of course, he was a Shakespeare scholar, and department has had a tradition of Shakespeare scholarship, starting from Walter Raleigh, continued by Aslum Ansari, and of course, Professor Maqbul Hassan Khan, and before that, Professor Usmani also. But Maqbul Saab's two publications, and they also have his introductions. One is on Hamlet and one is on Tempest, and these were part of a series which Orion Blackstone, at that time it was Orion Blackman, or I'm sorry, Orion Longman, it brought out. And of course, he also wrote one very important book on Shakespeare critic John Dowden. So I'll mention these important names. But of course, one question arises: did department make any contribution to creative writing? And I'll say that I'll mention two important names early on. One very important name is that of Raja Rao. Not many people know that the doyen of English literature in India, the doyen of Indian literature in English in India, Raja Rao, who has written a remarkable novel, Kanthapura, which is considered a very important novel, which is also a kind of, say, India's response to refashioning of English, how English is not simply colonial language, but rather English can also be used by Indians. This is the kind of thing which you say that the empire writes back. That means the colonies probably can not only play the game of cricket better, but they can also write English better. So that was a remarkable contribution, Kanthapura, and it is taught all across the world. And of course, many of his other works also, Cat and Shakespeare. And then yet another very important work is, I'm forgetting the title, just Serpent and the Rope. Raja Rao also was awarded Sahitya Academy Award, Padma Bhushan Award, and he also left for France. Actually, he studied at Aligarh Muslim University very briefly, but later he left for France, and there he got the highest literary award which France could bestow on a writer. This award is also considered an American Nobel. So that means it is as good as Nobel Prize in Literature. The only thing is that this award was given by French government. So Raja Rao, and the other important name is that of Ahmad Ali, who was a few years junior to Raja Rao. And you know that Ahmad Ali was also a remarkable man. Ahmad Ali studied at Aligarh, then he also studied at Lucknow University. He also taught at many places, Lucknow, Allahabad, and Presidency College. He migrated to Pakistan. He was a very good translator. He also wrote on Quran. But we know Ahmad Ali for his remarkable novel, To Light at Delhi. To Light at Delhi is a remarkable work which talks about, say, the decline of Muslim aristocracy before the partition. And it's a remarkable work. And of course, there is another very important work, Ocean of Night. But I'll say that these two important writers, these two, say, iconic writers, Raja Rao and Ahmad Ali, of course, there are lots of names. And some of my colleagues, they are doing wonderful work. And if I can mention 2, 3 names among the younger scholars who have been writing, say, creative works, fiction, translation, poetry, then I'll remember my late colleague, Dr. Atiya Abid. And Dr. Atiya Abid translated from Urdu to English. She also wrote quite a bit, and she also wrote short stories. Unfortunately, many of her short stories have not been published, so I'll mention her. And then among other colleagues, I'll mention my colleague, Professor Simi Hassan. She also writes, and she has published some beautiful stories. Samir Rafiq, her translations have been published, and her novels and stories have also been published. Of course, in 15 minutes, we cannot talk much, There was a little bit of query. Yes, Raja Rao and Ahmad Ali, they both were at Aligarh. And Raja Rao was here very briefly, but we definitely are lucky that he spent some time here. And another name I would mention, he also was here for just 3 months, and a younger novelist, an important name, Tabish Khair. He was also a student here in early 90s. And of course, he also has distinguished himself as a poet. He has distinguished himself as a novelist, and of course, as a columnist also. He also has a very important book, Babu Fiction. Thank you, Razisa. Maybe if I had time, I could have talked about all these works in great detail, and I could have mentioned some other important names, some other important contributions. But I hope that this brief introduction to creative writing or literary criticism probably gives some idea. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Asim. Though it was really given a short time, but you tried to cover as much possible. And we came to know a lot about English department. Many of us who are not from those disciplines rarely know the history of that. Now we have to switch to Urdu, तो इसलिए मेरी ज़बान भी अब बदल जाती है. दूसरे स्पीकर जो उर्दू लिटरेचर को कवर करेंगे वो डॉक्टर शाफिक कदवाई हैं. डॉक्टर शाफिक कदवाई साहब प्रोफेसर और चेयरमैन मास कम्युनिकेशन के हैं और उस फील्ड में उन्होंने बहुत कुछ किया, बट उनको मेरे ख्याल से उससे भी ज़्यादा लोग उर्दू के सिलसिले से जानते हैं, उर्दू और इंग्लिश दोनों की जर्नलिज्म के सिलसिले से जानते हैं, दर्जनों किताबों की सिलसिले से जानते हैं, दर्जनों इनामों के ज़रिए से जानते हैं. शाफिक कदवाई हार्डली नीड्स ए इंट्रोडक्शन, लेकिन एक दो चीज़ें मैं मेंशन कर दूं. ख़ास तौर से 2017 में इनका एक वर्क सर सैयद की बायोग्राफी पे था, जिस पे उनको 2019 में साहित्य अकेडमी अवार्ड मिला. दूसरा 2018 में इनको मध्य प्रदेश से इकबाल सम्मान और फिर यूपी से भी उर्दू एकेडमी से अवार्ड मिले. इनकी बहुत सी किताबें काफ़ी मशहूर हुई, ख़ास तौर से एक किताब जिसको कैम्ब्रिज यूनिवर्सिटी प्रेस ने पब्लिश किया, दैट इज़ ए उर्दू लिटरेचर एंड जर्नलिज्म क्रिटिकल पर्सपेक्टिव. ये किताब बहुत मशहूर हुई और ये रेगुलर कंट्रीब्यूटर हैं फ्राइडे रिव्यू के हिंदू में और मेरे ख्याल से दर्जनों और दूसरे नेशनल न्यूज़पेपर्स में. मैं ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं लेना चाहता, रियली टाइम इज शॉर्ट. सो शाफिया साहब प्लीज.
शुक्रिया रदी साहब, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. आपने जिस तरह की बातें की और जो आपने मेरे बारे में कहा उसमें जाहिर उसका हकीकत का ताल्लुक कम है. इस जलसे की सदारत अब्दुल्ला साहब कर रहे हैं, वो तो शायर हैं, लेकिन आपने भी जो तारुफ किया उसमें भी शायरी का पहलू नुमाया था. खैर, अभी आसिम साहब ने बहुत अच्छी गुफ्तगू की और 15 मिनट में उन्होंने अलीगढ़ में जो अंग्रेजी के शोबे में और अंग्रेजी अदब के बारे में जिस तरह से जो तनकीद के मैदान में तख्लीकी अदब के मैदान पेश किया, तो टेकिंग ए क्यू फ्रॉम हिम मैं भी कोशिश करूंगा कि 15 मिनट की अपनी गुफ्तगू में जो उर्दू अदब के सिलसिले में जो अलीगढ़ यूनिवर्सिटी की शोबे उर्दू और दूसरे शोबों की जो खिदमात है उसके बारे में मुख्तसरन जायजा लिया जाए और आप एक मुख्तसर से गुफ्तगू की जाए कि उर्दू अदब के सिलसिले में अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी का क्या रोल रहा है. देखिए, अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी का जो शोबा उर्दू है उसमें इस वक्त 27 लोग हैं. तो इस वक्त पूरे बर्र सगीर क्या पूरी दुनिया में कोई ऐसा शोबा नहीं है जहाँ इतनी बड़ी तादाद में उर्दू के रीडर, प्रोफेसर और लेक्चरर मौजूद हो. ये तो खैर एक ज़िम्नी सी बात है, लेकिन असल चीज़ ये है कि अगर आप उर्दू अदब पे नज़र डालें, उर्दू अदब की तारीख पे नज़र डालें, तो आपको मुख्तलिफ जो तहरीकें चली उसमें मैं गुफ्तगू करूँगा कि उसमें अलीगढ़ का क्या रोल रहा. और मुख्तलिफ असनाफ, मसलन नावल, अफसाना, तख्लीक और आबीती या तनकीद और तहकीक और सहाफत, खाका निगारी, किसी भी सिन्फ का आप नाम लें तो उसमें अलीगढ़ के लोग और अलीगढ़ का उसमें बहुत अहम रोल رہا ہے. تو دیکھیے جب میں شروعات ظاہر اپنی سر سید کی تحریروں سے کرتا ہوں کہ انہوں نے اردو ادب کو اور اردو نثر کو جس طرح سے مالا مال کیا، تو اس کا ظاہر نقطۂ آغاز سر سید تحریک ہے. تو علی گڑھ کا جو بنیادی حوالہ ہے وہ سر سید کی اپنی تحریر ہے. سر سید ایک کثیر التصانیف ادیب تھے. انہوں نے ظاہر صحافت میں انہوں نے علی گڑھ انسٹیٹیوٹ کے اندر تہذیب اخلاق نکالا. اس کے علاوہ انہوں نے تاریخ سے بہت دلچسپی تھی اور فارسی میں بھی انہوں نے بہت سی چیزیں لکھی. ابھی ناہید آپا پروفیسر ناہید صفی یہاں موجود ہیں، اس پہ ضرور گفتگو کریں گے. اور جو فارسی کی چیزیں ہیں، تو اردو میں جہاں تک تعلق ہے تو سر سید ایک نئی طرح کی نثر کے لکھنے کا انہوں نے آغاز کیا، اور جو مضامین لکھے اس کا انہوں نے ایک نئے طرح کی اردو کی بنیاد ڈالی، جو سلاست اور روانی اور بہت سے چیزوں کا ذکر کیا جاتا ہے. انہوں نے پہلی بار دیکھیے اردو میں انگریزی کے جو مضامین تصانیف ادیب سے، جیسے میں نے عرض کیا، وہ کہا سر سید کے جو بہت سے مضامین ہیں جیسے خوش آمد ہے اور یا امید کی خوشی ہے، اس طرح کے 8-9 مضامین ایسے ہیں جو سر سید نے خود لکھا کہ انہوں نے جوزف ایڈیسن اور رچرڈ اسٹیل کے مضامین کو اردو میں منتقل کیا. اس کے ساتھ دیکھیے مسئلہ یہ کہ ان مضامین کو ہم سمجھتے ہیں کہ سر سید کے تبادلات مضمون ہے، جس میں وہ 2 کتوں کا ذکر کرتے ہیں، 2 کتے آپس میں ملتے ہیں تو کیسے ذکر کرتے ہیں. خوش آمد ان کا ایک مضمون ہے. یہ مضامین سر سید نے خود لکھا کہ میں نے جوزف ایڈیسن اور رچرڈ اسٹیل کے مضامین کو اردو میں منتقل کیا. اس میں ظاہر ہے اپنی انہوں نے تخلیقی چیزیں ڈالی اور اس کا مضامین لکھے. تو اس طرح کے جو موضوعات تھے اس پہ اردو میں مضامین لکھے نہیں گئے تھے. سر سید نے پہلی بار اس طرح کے موضوعات، انسانی خصوصیات یعنی جو ہیومن ٹریٹس ہیں اس کے بارے میں لکھنا، اور کہیں کہیں تمثیل کا انداز انہوں نے استعمال کیا. یہ اور مختلف جو انسانی صفات ہیں، انسانی کمزوریاں ہیں، اس کا ذکر کیا. تو یہ سر سید. اس کے بعد دیکھیے جو سر سید کے رفقا تھے، میں شروع سے ذکر کر رہا ہوں 1870 سے انہوں نے پرچہ 1866 میں نکالا علی گڑھ انسٹیٹیوٹ کے اندر. اس کے بعد سے جو اردو میں جو بھی اہم کتابیں شائع ہوئی، ظاہر اگر آپ حالی کا نام لیں تو یادگار غالب، اور اس سے پہلے محمد حسین آزاد کی یادگار غالب تو بعد میں کا میں ذکر کروں گا. اس سے پہلے جو آب حیات شائع ہوئی 1880 میں، تو یہ اس کتاب پہ پہلی بار سر سید نے اس پہ تبصرہ کیا. سر سید نے اپنی تبصرہ کیا، پھر مولوی ذکا اللہ نے تبصرہ لکھا، اور ایک تبصرہ حالی کا تھا. 3 تبصرے شائع ہوئے. تو اردو میں جو آپ تنقید کا نقش اول کہتے ہیں، اس پہ جب شائع ہوا، اردو میں تنقید کو جو برگوبار لائی اردو میں، وہ اسی آب حیات وہ کتاب تھی. تو اس پہ سر سید نے خود تبصرے لکھے اور 3 تبصرے اور بھی شائع ہوئے. اور ایک طرح کا تنقیدی ڈسکورس کا ظاہر ہے، وہ اس سے پہلے تذکرے شائع ہوتے تھے. تو یہ پہلی کتاب ہے جو ڈپارچر ہے تنقید کی طرف، اور ایک آگے سفر ہمارا شروع ہوتا ہے. تو یہ کتاب جب شائع ہوئی تو سر سید نے اس پہ 3 تبصرے شائع کی. وہ پہلی بار، اب لوگ ذکر کرتے ہیں کہ مومن کا ذکر نہیں کیا تھا، مومن کا ذکر نہیں کیا گیا، اور پھر دوسرے ایڈیشن میں انہوں نے مومن کا ذکر کیا. یہ بات پہلی بار سر سید کے شمارے میں شائع، سر سید کا جو علی گڑھ انسٹیٹیوٹ کے اندر شائع ہوتا ہے تو اس میں شائع ہوئی. تو محمد حسین آزاد کے چاہے سخنتان فارس ہو، چاہے وہ جتنی کتابیں نیرنگ خیال، یہ سب کتابیں جب شائع ہوتی تھی تو سر سید نے دیوان ذوق انہوں نے ایڈٹ کیا. تو یہ جو پورا ایک لٹریری کلچر بن رہا تھا اردو میں، اور اس کو پروپیگیشن میں علی گڑھ کا مطلب ظاہر ہے یونیورسٹی تو ظاہر ہے مو کالج تھا. 1870 سے 66 سے میں ذکر کر رہا ہوں. تو یہ سر سید نے اپنے رسالے جو تہذیب الاخلاق تھا اس میں بھی، اور اس سے کہیں زیادہ علی گڑھ انسٹیٹیوٹ گزٹ میں انہوں نے ذکر کیا. تو یہ جو ذکا اللہ نے جس طرح کی تحریریں لکھی اور اس رسالے میں، تو اردو کو مالا مال کیا، اردو کو ثروت مند بنایا. تاریخ کے حوالے سے خصوصاً ذکا اللہ کا میدان تاریخ تھا. پھر حالی یہاں موجود تھے، حالی آئے، وہ یہاں سر سید کے رفقا میں شامل تھے. انہوں نے جس طرح سے مقدمہ لکھا، پھر ظاہر حیات جاوید شائع ہوئی جو سر سید کے سب سے اہم کتاب ہے، ابھی تک لوگ سب اس کا ذکر کرتے ہیں اور ہے اس قابل. تو یہ زمانے کا حصہ دیکھ لیجئے، نگاری اردو میں دیکھ لیجئے، یہ تنقید دیکھیے. تو ان تمام چیزوں میں اردو تبصرہ نگاری، تو یہ بالکل اولین زمانہ ہے علی گڑھ، جب علی گڑھ تحریک کا آغاز ہوتا ہے. تو یہ سر سید کا زمانے میں یہ کنٹریبیوشن تھا. پھر دیکھیے اگر آپ اردو میں اور لوگوں کو دیکھیں، اسی کی سر سید کے زمانے میں پھر ایک مولانا وحید الدین سلیم صاحب تھے، جنہوں نے بعد میں سر سید کے لٹریری اسسٹنٹ تھے. تو انہوں نے اردو میں اصطلاح سازی کا بہت سے جو ٹرمز تھے، جو ادبی اصطلاحیں ہیں یا مختلف علوم کی جو اصطلاح ہے جس کا ترجمہ حیدرآباد نے بعد میں اس کا بہت ذکر کیا اور کا سلسلے میں کام کیا. اس کا نقش اول آپ کو وحید الدین سلیم کی تحریروں میں ملتا ہے. تو وحید الدین سلیم گزٹ کے ایڈیٹر بھی رہے. تو وحید الدین سلیم مولوی عبدالحق بابا اردو جن کو کہتے ہیں وہ بھی علی گڑھ یونیورسٹی کے. تو یہ بابا اردو جن کو کہتے ہیں مولوی عبدالحق کے خاکے اور ان کی جو میر پہ جن کی کتاب ہے ان کا تحقیق و تنقید کا سرمایہ ہے وہ ہمارے سامنے ہے. تو بابا اردو بھی یہاں پہ تھے. اور اس کے بعد اگر آپ دیکھیں جو اردو میں اگر آپ اور دیکھیں تو خواجہ غلام السیدین جنہوں نے ایک طرح کے فکری کتابیں لکھی, سر سید کے خواجہ غلام الثقلین, تعلیمی تحریک انہوں نے, تعلیم کے بارے میں نظریات تھے اس کا ذکر کیا. پھر اگر آپ اور اس کے تھوڑے اور بات آپ دیکھیں تو جو بہت سے شاعر اگر آپ شاعری کے میدان میں دیکھیں تو جو ہمارے یہاں جو اردو کے آپ جو اہم شعراء ہیں چاہے مولانا محمد علی جوہر ان کی اصل شناخت ظاہر ہے بحیثیت شاعر کی بھی ہے, بحیثیت انگریزی ادیب کی بھی ہے, اور اردو میں ظاہر ہے وہ صحافی تھے, ہمدرد نکالا, کامریڈ نکالا, اور ان کے جو اسلام زندہ ہوتا ہے کربلا کے بعد بہت مشہور شعر ہے, بہت سے ان کے اشعار ہیں. تو مولانا محمد علی کا تعلق یہاں سے رہا. پھر مولانا ظفر علی خان جو زمیندار نکالا وہ تو ایک ان کی حیثیت تھی, اس میں روز ان کی ایک تنزیہ نظم شائع ہوتی تھی. تو یہ مولانا ظفر علی خان کو دیکھیں. پھر اسی وہی زمانہ ہے جب حضرت موہانی یہاں زیر تعلیم تھے, مولانا عبد المجید دری آبادی یہاں موجود تھے. پھر جو فکشن کے میدان میں اگر آپ دیکھیں تو منٹو نے بھی یہاں تعلیم حاصل کی. وہ زیادہ دن یہاں نہیں رہے, 2-3 مہینے رہے, وہ منٹو سرکل میں داخل ہوئے تھے تو 3 مہینے بعد یہاں سے چلے گئے. لیکن منٹو نے کئی جگہ اس کا ذکر کیا اپنے جن کو خطوط شائع ہوئے کہ علی گڑھ میں 3 مہینے رہا اور میں نے کیا کیا چیزیں اس میں حاصل, اپنے ہاسٹل کا ذکر کیا. اور یہاں کے پی وی سی تھے ابا حلیم کہلاتے تھے, ان کے نام ایک لڑکے کی سفارش کی, کہا کہ میں علی گڑھ میں تھا. سب سے بڑا فکشن نگار ہے جن کو پوری دنیا میں نہ صرف اردو بلکہ انگریزی میں, ہندی میں, تمام زبانوں میں ان کا ترجمہ.
I think we lost Shafir bhai or
Yeah, it was frozen.
Unfortunately, yeah, वहाँ के वहीं से कोई होगा प्रॉब्लम अलीगढ़ का. Yeah, but that's a precious few minutes gone, I think.
I don't
I think his mic is muted. Shafir Bhai sahab, आपका mic muted है. Please unmute it and you can discuss. Thank you.
तो मैं जिक्र कर रहा था मंटो का. जी मंटो का ताल्लुक अलीगढ़ से था. फिर उसके बाद अगर आप फिक्शन के मैदान में देखें तो दूसरा अहम नाम आता है वो हैतुल्लाह अंसारी साहब का. हैतुल्लाह अंसारी साहब ने उर्दू का मेरे ख्याल में अब तक का सबसे तवील नॉवेल लहू के फूल लिखा. और उसके अलावा फिर उनका आखिरी कोशिश और 3-4 उनके अफसानों के मजमूए हैं. तो उनका भी ताल्लुक अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी से था. वो यहाँ के तालिब इल्म थे, कौमी आवाज़ के मुदीर रहे, बहैसियत सहाफ़ी भी उनकी बहुत अहम खिदमात हैं. लेकिन उससे ज़्यादा कहीं अहम खिदमात उनकी जो है वो फिक्शन के मैदान में लहू का फूल. फिर उनको साहित्य अकेडमी अवार्ड भी मिला. फिर अगर आप और आप देखें फिक्शन के मैदान में का मैं जिक्र करता हूँ, एक एक सिन्फ का जिक्र करूँगा तो मेरे ख्याल में ज़्यादा बात आसानी से हो सकती है. तो हैतुल्लाह अंसारी के बाद जो है नाम आता है वो नाम है असमत चगताई का. असमत चगताई के बारे में कुछ कहना सूरज को चिराग दिखाना है. जिस तरह के उनके नॉवेल चाहे हुए या अफसाने उन्होंने लिखे, जिस तरह की जुबान लिखी, असल जो जिनकी तारीफ की जाती है उनकी जो मौजुआती शऊर है, मौजुआती तन्नुउ उसका जिक्र किया जाता. लेकिन जिस तरह की उन्होंने नस्ल लिखी, एक तरह की फीमेल सेंसिबिलिटी को जिस तरह से उन्होंने पेश किया वो उर्दू में उसकी कोई मिसाल नहीं है. ये भी इसका ताल्लुक है कि ये असमत चगताई यहाँ थी. फिर क़ुर्रतुल हैदर का ज़ाहिर यहाँ की तालिब इल्म तो नहीं रही, लेकिन वो सज्जाद हैदर जिलदरम की बेटी थी. उनकी ज़ाहिर सज्जाद हैदर जिलदरम अलीगढ़ यूनिवर्सिटी के रजिस्ट्रार थे, पहले रजिस्ट्रार थे. तो उनकी नश्व नुमा में अलीगढ़ का हिस्सा रहा. फिर बाद में वो यहाँ प्रोफेसर होकर उर्दू डिपार्टमेंट में आई. तो क़ुर्रतुल हैदर का भी ताल्लुक इसी यूनिवर्सिटी से था. फिर काजी अब्दुल गफ्फार साहब जिन्होंने हैदराबाद में पैगाम निकाला, फिर लैला के खतूत उनके जो शाये हुए, تو بحثیت اگر آپ ناول نگار کے دیکھیں، بحثیت فکشن نگار دیکھیں تو قاضی عبد الغفار صاحب کا بھی تعلق تھا، پھر قاضی عبد الستار صاحب کا تو ابھی کچھ دن پہلے انتقال ہوا، ان کو غالب ایوارڈ ملا، اور بہت ہمارے عہد کے بہت اچھے لکھنے والے تھے فکشن کے میدان میں. پھر ساہتیہ اکیڈمی ایوارڈ جن لوگوں کو ملا اس میں جو بہت نئے لوگوں نے بھی فکشن میں بہت اہم رول ادا کیا. اردو ڈپارٹمنٹ کی طرف میں بعد میں ہوں گا، کریٹو رائٹنگ چونکہ بہت سی چیزیں علی گڑھ کے بارے میں ہے، اس میں اس کا ذکر کرنا ہے. تو اگر آپ فکشن نگاروں میں دیکھیں، قاضی عبد الستار کا میں نے ذکر کیا. اس کے بعد اگر آپ دیکھیں تو اشرف، سید محمد اشرف جو ہمارے عہد کے بہت اہم لکھنے والے ہیں، ان کو ساہتیہ اکیڈمی ایوارڈ ملا. ان کے ابھی ایک ان کا ناول شائع ہوا آخری سواریاں. آخری سواریاں ایک ناول شائع ہوا ہے جس کا ابھی اور پھر اس کا ترجمہ اس سے پہلے ان کا باد صبا کا انتظار، اس کا انگریزی ترجمہ الف والوں نے چھاپا ہے، روپا والوں کا ایک پبلیکیشن ہاؤس انگریزی میں شائع کیا. تو اشرف کا یہ جو ناول ہے آخری سواریاں، اس پہ بہت ڈسکشن ہوا. ان کو ناول افسانوں کی کتاب پہ انعام ملا تھا، باد صبا کا انتظار ساہتیہ اکیڈمی. لیکن جو آخری سواریاں ہیں، یہ دیکھیے آج کے جس دور میں زندہ ہیں اس میں اشرف کا جو ناول شائع ہوا آخری سواریاں، وہ اس لحاظ سے بہت اہم ہے کہ وہ صاحب ایک ناول ہے، اس کا ایک بس مختصر سا ذکر کرتا ہوں کہ جو ہم سمجھتے ہیں کہ نیشنل انٹیگریشن کیا ہے اور ہندوؤں مسلمانوں میں تعلق کی نوعیت کیا ہوگی، تو یہ کہتے ہیں ہم لوگ یہی سمجھتے ہیں کہ مسلمان جو ہیں وہ دیوالی میں چلے جائیں، ہولی میں چلے جائیں ہندوؤں کے یہاں، اور ہندو جو ہے مسلمانوں کے یہاں عید میں آ جائیں. یہ ایک طرح کا ہم سمجھتے ہیں کہ اسی سے چیزیں ظاہر ہوتے ہیں کہ ہم دونوں میں یونٹی ہے. اشرف نے دیکھیے اس کا جو ویژن کریٹ کیا ہے وہ یہ ہے، اس کو ایک نئے طرح سے دیکھا ہے کہ دیکھیے دونوں یہ صرف بہت سامنے کی بات نہیں بلکہ جو ہندوؤں مسلمانوں کا جو تعلق ہے وہ بہت پرانا ہے. تو انہوں نے اپنے ایک ناول، ایک اپنے یہ جو ناول جس کا میں ذکر کر رہا تھا آخری سواریاں، اس میں ایک کردار ہے، اس میں ایک لڑکی ہے نوکرانی ہے، اس کا نام ہے جمو. تو اس کا جو مین کیریکٹر ہے آخری سواریوں کا، وہ جاتا ہے اپنی نینیال میں جا کے رہتا ہے، نینیال میں جا کے رہتا ہے. تو وہ اس کے برابر میں ایک گھر ہے جہاں پہ ایک شاردا موسی رہتی جو نان مسلم ہے. تو ایک دن وہ اس کی نانی کے یہاں رہتا ہے، نانی سے کہتا ہے، یہ سنتا ہے ظاہر ہے بچہ 8-9 سال کا، اس کو زیادہ احساس نہیں ہوتا ان باتوں کا. تو ایک دن نانی شاردا موسی اس کی نانی سے کہتی کہ اپنی نوکرانی جموں کو میرے گھر بھیج دیجئے، میری تلسی سوکھ رہی ہے، اس میں آ کے پانی دے دیں. تو وہ جانے لگی. تو جب جانے لگی تو ان کی نانی نے کہا کہ جموں تم جا تو رہی ہو لیکن جلدی آنا، مجھے اور بھی کام کرانا ہے، تمہیں تلسی میں تمہیں پانی دینا ہے. جیسے اس نے سنا تلسی میں پانی دینا، وہ ٹھٹک گئی اور اس نے کچھ کہا. تو اور پھر انہوں نے یہ کچھ کہا تو یہ کچھ سمجھا نہیں. پھر انہوں نے اس کی ایک دوسری بہن اس کی تھی، اس سے بھی کہا. اس سے بھی جب کہا کہ جانا ہے آپ کو پانی دینے، تو وہ رک گئی اور وہ نہیں گئی. پھر اس نے، اب دیکھیے لڑکا چھوٹا بچہ ہے، وہ سمجھ نہیں پا رہا ہے کہ کیا بات ہوئی. تو دادی اس کی جو نانی شاردا موسی سے کہتی ہے کہ دونوں لڑکیاں جو ہیں، یہ وہ ایج ہے 11-12 سال کی، 13 سال کی ہے. تو یہ لڑکیاں دونوں اس لیے نہیں جا رہی ہیں اس میں پانی دینے کے لیے تلسی میں، کہ جس طرح وہ پیریڈز ہیں، یہ وہ زمانہ ہے جیسے وہ نماز نہیں پڑھ سکتی، اسی طرح وہ تلسی میں پانی بھی نہیں دے سکتی. تو یہ دیکھیے یہ جو ایک بانڈ جو تھا، سوشل بانڈ تھا، اس کا کیسے زوال ہوا، یہ اشرف کا ناول اس کے بہت اچھی طرح ذکر کرتا ہے. پھر اگر آپ آج کے دور میں دیکھیں تو اس سے پہلے پیغام آفاقی ہمارے بہت اچھے لکھنے والے تھے، ان کے بھی 2-3 ناول شائع ہوئے. پھر غضنفر ہیں، طارق چھتاری ہیں، ان کا اگر آپ دیکھیں تو یہ نئے طرح کے ایک ناول، اور پھر بہت سے ابھی یہ سلسلہ جاری ہے. بہت سے لوگ ہیں جن کا میں ذکر کر سکتا ہوں لیکن ظاہر ہے وقت کم ہے. تو فکشن کے میدان میں یہ مجھے لگتا ہے کہ یہ بہت اہم نام تھے جن کا میں نے مختصراً ذکر کیا. دیکھیے جو گیان پیٹھ ایوارڈ ملا ہے اردو میں 4-5، ظاہر ہندوستان کا سب سے بڑا ایوارڈ ہے گیان پیٹھ ایوارڈ. تو گیان پیٹھ ایوارڈ اردو میں 5 لوگوں کو ملا ہے، اس میں 3 کا تعلق علی گڑھ سے ہے. اس میں سردار جعفری کو ایوارڈ ملا، سردار جعفری کی علی گڑھ کے طالب علم تھے. قرۃ العین حیدر کو ملا، وہ علی گڑھ سے ان کا یہ تعلق میں نے ابھی عرض کیا تھا قرۃ العین حیدر کا کیا تعلق تھا. اور تیسرا نام اس میں شہریار کا ہے. ساہتیہ اکیڈمی کے جتنے ایوارڈ اگر آپ دیکھیں تو علی گڑھ کے جو اسٹاف ممبرس ہیں اس میں تنقید میں لوگوں کو ملا. ابوالکلام قاسمی صاحب کو ملا ابھی 10 سال پہلے. اس سے پہلے جو ایوارڈ ملا، اگر آپ طنز و مزاح میں دیکھیں تو اولین جو ایوارڈ ملا تھا وہ رشید احمد صدیقی صاحب کو ملا. تو طنز و مزاح میں بھی جو اہم نام، جو سب سے اہم نام ہے، وہ ظاہر اس کا تعلق علی گڑھ سے ہے. پروفیسر رشید احمد صدیقی کے بارے میں ہم لوگ سب واقعی میں جس طرح کی ان کی تحریریں ہیں اور طنز و مزاح اور پھر علی گڑھ کی جو سینسیبلٹی اس کو کس طرح سے انہوں نے پروجیکٹ کیا. پھر طنز و مزاح کے میدان میں جو دوسرا اہم نام ہے جس نے بہت یعنی رشید احمد صدیقی صاحب سے اور جتنے اردو میں مزاح لکھا گیا اس کو انہوں نے بالکل ایک نئی جہت کا اضافہ کیا. ان کا نام ہے مشتاق احمد یوسفی. اس کی تحریروں کے ہم لوگ سب بہت شائق ہیں. ابھی کچھ دن پہلے ان کا انتقال ہوا تو وہ بھی علی گڑھ میں فلسفے کی تعلیم حاصل کی تھی. پھر جو اردو کے جو بہت اہم نثر نگار ہیں مختار مسعود صاحب, وہ بھی علی گڑھ میں معاشیات کے طالب علم تھے. ان کے والد یہاں اکنامکس میں تھے. تو مختار مسعود صاحب کی آواز دوست, اس کے بعد سفر نصیب اور 2 کتابیں, پھر ایک ان کا سفر نامہ, پھر ایک کتاب ابھی اور شائع ہوئی. تو یہ علی یہ جو 3 ہمارے بڑے جو نثر نگار ہیں اور طنز و مزاح کے حوالے سے اگر آپ دیکھیں تو رشید احمد صدیقی اور ان کا نام میں نے ابھی عرض کیا مشتاق یوسفی, یہ علی گڑھ کا جو کنٹریبیوشن ہے اس کو کبھی کوئی بھلا نہیں سکتا. پھر بحیثیت نثر نگار جو یہ مختار مسعود صاحب کا نام ہے اس میں کوئی ذکر نہیں. جہاں تک دیکھیے شاعری کا تعلق ہے تو شاعری میں جوش ملی آبادی ہمارے یہاں پڑھا, جوش ملی آبادی نے یہاں تعلیم حاصل کی. بحیثیت شاعر کے بھی اور بحیثیت اردو میں جو سوانح لکھی گئی اس میں جو سب سے زیادہ ریڈیبل ہے, جس کی سب سے زیادہ پذیرائی ہوئی, وہ ان کی یادوں کی بارات ہے. تو وہ علی گڑھ یونیورسٹی کے طالب علم تھے. سردار جعفری جذبی مجاز نے ظاہر ترانہ لکھا, ہم لوگ سب اس سے واقف ہیں. تو مجاز کا تعلق علی گڑھ سے تھا. پھر جانثار اختر کا, پھر ان کے بیٹے جاوید اختر کا, عبداللہ بھائی کے بڑے اچھے دوست ہیں وہ. جاوید اختر صاحب یہاں ونٹر سرٹیفکیٹ کے طالب علم تھے. پھر سردار جعفری کا تعلق تھا, جذبی تھے. اختر انصاری صاحب تھے. انگریزی کا بھی ذکر کر رہے تھے, انگریزی میں امین اشرف صاحب ہمارے شاعر تھے. حسرت موہانی کا تعلق تھا. پھر ایک اور بہت اہم نام جو اگر آپ ترقی پسند, یہ سب ظاہر ترقی پسند شعراء کا میں نے ذکر کیا, جدیدیت میں یا ایک نئے طرح کی اردو شاعری کو ایک نئے ذائقے سے جنہوں نے آشنا کیا. مطلب جو روایت تھی نون میم راشد کی اردو میں جنہوں نے بڑھتا, ان کا نام مختار الایمان ہے. مختار الایمان بھی علی گڑھ کے طالب علم تھے. ابھی منیب الرحمان صاحب باقاعدہ حیات ہیں. انہوں نے بھی ایک نئے طرح کی نثر نگاری اور یہ ترقی پسند ظاہر تھے وہ, ان کی جو پورا رنگ و آہنگ ہے, وہ جس طرح کی انہوں نے چیزیں کی وہ ان کو جدیدیت کے صف میں کھڑے کرتے ہیں. تو یہ بہت اہم شاعر تھے. پھر وحید اختر صاحب وہاں موجود تھے فلسفے میں. بحیثیت شاعر بھی ان کی جو پہچان تھی. آخری میں انہوں نے جو کربلا تھا, کربلا ایک مراسی کا مجموعہ شاعر, وہ ایک بالکل نئے رنگ و آہنگ کا مجموعہ تھا. میر انیس اور پھر آل رضا پاکستان میں تھے, جس طرح کے مرثیے کہہ رہے تھے, اس سے انہوں نے ایک نیا رنگ پیدا کیا. بحیثیت نقاد ان کی درد پہ کتاب ہے پروفیسر وحید اختر صاحب کی. پھر فلسفہ اور ادبی تنقید ان کا مجموعہ ہے. صرف اردو ڈپارٹمنٹ نہیں بلکہ مختلف شعبوں سے جو متعلق لوگ تھے, انہوں نے اردو کو کس طرح سے مالا مال کیا. اس میں وحید اختر صاحب کا نام, ابھی اسلوب صاحب کا نام آیا. اسلوب صاحب ظاہر بحیثیت انگریزی ادیب کے, انہوں نے بحیثیت انگریزی رائٹر کے ذکر کیا گیا. لیکن اردو میں بھی ان کو ساہتیہ اکیڈمی ایوارڈ ملا. اقبال کی 13 نظمیں گویا اردو میں پریکٹیکل کرٹیسزم, جس کو ہم عملی تنقید کہتے ہیں, اس کی بنیاد جو اردو میں ڈالی. ظاہر میرا جی کا پہلا رسالہ نکلتا تو اس کا نام تھا اس نظم میں, وہ نظموں کے تجزیے کرتے تھے. اسلوب صاحب نے اپنے رسالہ نقد و نظر, ابھی انگریزی کا ذکر کیا عاصم صاحب نے, وہ نقد و نظر میں انہوں نے غزلوں کے تجزیے کرائے. بہت لوگوں نے تجزیے لکھے. تو اسلوب صاحب کا بھی جو تنقید میں, پھر اقبال پہ جو اقبال و غالب پہ ان کی کتابیں, یا اردو کے اہم ناول ان کی کتاب ہے, تو ان کا بہت اہم تعلق ہے. پھر اور ایک تنقید میں جو بہت اہم نام آتا ہے وہ خلیل الرحمان اعظمی صاحب کا نام ہے. خلیل الرحمان اعظمی صاحب بحیثیت نقاد کے, بحیثیت ترقی پسند تحریک کی ان کی پی ایچ ڈی ہے. پھر انہوں نے بہادر شاہ ظفر پہ جس طرح کا مضمون لکھا. پھر بحیثیت شاعر ان کے 3 مجموعے شائع ہوئے, اور اس کا ذکر ہے. یہ ایسے جدید شعراء میں جیسے ناصر کاظمی یا ابن انشا, انہی کے ساتھ خلیل الرحمان اعظمی کا نام لیا جاتا ہے. آخری مجموعہ ان کا زندگی شائع ہوا. اور پھر یہ تو جدیدیت کی جو تحریک تھی اس کو جو سربلند کرنے والوں میں ظاہر خلیل صاحب کا اس میں بہت اہم رول تھا. پھر عالم سرور صاحب کو کون بلا سکتا, ان کو ساہتیہ اکیڈمی ایوارڈ بھی ملا, پدم بھوشن. یہ سب چیزیں تو ظاہر ہے اتنی اہمیت نہیں رکھتی, لیکن بحیثیت اسکالر, بحیثیت اقبال پہ جو ان کی کتابیں ہیں, غالب پہ, یہی 2 چیزوں سے, ان دونوں پہ انہوں نے بہت سے مضامین لکھے. اور انگریزی میں بھی ان کی بہت سی چیزیں شائع ہوئی. ان کا ایک آپیتی بھی شائع ہوئی. اور پھر उनका शेरी मजमूए 2 शेरी मजमूए शाये हुए। तो आला मसरूर साहब ने उर्दू डिपार्टमेंट को जिस तरह से रशीद साहब के बाद उर्दू डिपार्टमेंट को जिस तरह से उन्होंने जिस तरह से लोगों का तकर्रुर किया, जिस तरह के लोग आए, तो उसमें आला मसरूर साहब का भी बहुत अहम रोल है। फिर मैं ज़िक्र कर रहा था क्रिएटिव राइटिंग्स में सज्जाद अंसारी साहब का नाम मेरे शायद उस वक़्त मैं नहीं ले पाया, जो अहम लिखने वाले थे। एक ख़ास तरह की नस्ल उन्होंने लिखी, रूमानी नस्ल, वो उसमें सज्जाद अंसारी साहब का नाम है। और फिर अगर आप तहक़ीक़ के मैदान में देखें तो उसमें मौलाना एहसन मारहरवी साहब थे, नूर हसन हाशमी साहब वैसे तनक़ीद निगार भी थे और वो भी उर्दू डिपार्टमेंट में उनका ताल्लुक़ था। फिर मौलाना शबील हसन नौनहरवी साहब, वो भी अलीगढ़ के तालिब इल्म थे, उन्होंने नासिक में काम किया, लखनऊ यूनिवर्सिटी में मेरे उस्ताद रहे। फिर मोहम्मद हसन साहब भी यहीं रहे अलीगढ़ में। मजनू गोरखपुरी, यानी तनक़ीद में आप कोई एक नाम लेते हैं, चाहे वो तरक्की पसंद हो, चाहे जदीदियत हो, या अभी मैं बात जदीदियत की तरफ आऊँगा, शमीम हनफी साहब, ये लोग सब अलीगढ़ से, इनकी मुख्तलिफ किताबें शाये हुई और उन्होंने उर्दू तनक़ीद की जो एक डिस्कोर्स, उर्दू में तनक़ीदी डिस्कोर्स कायम किया, उसमें चाहे मोहम्मद हसन साहब हो या असलूब साहब का मैंने ज़िक्र किया, मजनू गोरखपुरी का ज़िक्र किया, ये लोग यहाँ पे मौजूद थे। फिर एक सोशियोलॉजी में एक साहब थे, उन्होंने एक उर्दू में इमरानी तनक़ीद का ज़िक्र किया, उनका नाम था इब्न फरीद साहब। उनकी तहरीरें भी उर्दू में एक नए तरह का डिस्कोर्स कायम करती हैं। फिर अगर आप तहक़ीक़ के मैदान में देखें, मैंने ज़िक्र किया खलील अंजुम ने भी यहाँ तालीम हासिल की। फिर अरबी में थे मुख्तारुद्दीन आरज़ू साहब, उन्होंने भी तहक़ीक़ व तदवीन में बहुत से हफ़्ता तय किए। और फिर असलम परवेज़ साहब थे तनक़ीद के। फिर अगर आप माबादी जदीदियत के ज़माने में आएँ और अगर आप शोरा में ज़िक्र करें, उससे पहले जो ख़वातीन अफ़साना निगार, जो ख़वातीन यहाँ पे शायर थीं, उसमें ज़ाहिदा ज़ैदी, साजिदा ज़ैदी, उनका ज़ाहिर है अंग्रेज़ी में भी अंग्रेज़ी पढ़ाती थी।
Razi bhai is frozen again.
हेलो जी।
Can we wrap up?
अब ये देखिए बहुत सी बातें, अब मैं दो अपनी जी
रैप अप कर
ओके आई विल रैप अप। तो देखिए बिल्कुल, अब ये ज़ाहिर इतना कंट्रीब्यूशन था, मैं सबका जिक्र तो नहीं कर पाया। फिर देखिए जो पोस्ट मॉडर्निज्म जो थिंकिंग है, इसके बारे में तनकीद में जैसे आप जिक्र करें तो हमारे यहाँ अबुल कलाम कासमी साहब हैं या काजी अफजाल, काजी जमाल, इन लोगों ने इस तनकीद को बढ़ाने में बहुत अहम रोल किया। अभी भी जो शोबा उर्दू है उसमें बहुत अहम लोग मौजूद हैं जो अपनी तरह पे बहसियत शायर अगर आप देखें तो यहाँ महताब हैदर नकवी हैं, राशिद अनवर राशिद हैं, सिराज अजमली हैं। अभी भी ये जो शोबा है, या फिर तहकीक के मैदान में देखें तो बहुत से आप लोग दिखेंगे, चाहे वो कमरुद्दीन फरीदी हों, चाहे वो शहाबुद्दीन साकिब हों। फिर बशीर बद्र का मैंने जिक्र शायद रह गया, बशीर बद्र का ताल्लुक भी यहीं से था। तो इस तरह से अगर आप देखें मुख्तलिफ, ज़ाहिर है वक्त कम है तो मुझे अपनी, फिर लिंग्विस्टिक्स के मैदानों में आप मैदान में देखें तो आप मसूद हुसैन खान का ताल्लुक था, यहाँ से था। मसूद हुसैन खान ने जिस तरह से उर्दू तनकीद की तारीख लिखी, और फिर सहाफत में, अदब में किसी का, अगर आप मिर्जा खलील अहमद बेग का जिक्र करें और अख्तर अंसारी का जिक्र करें, तो ये तमाम लोगों ने, और फिर फारसी की बहुत से लोग, नाहिद आपा वो जिक्र करेंगी। तो उर्दू की जितनी तहरीकें चली और जितने असनाफ हैं, उसमें उर्दू डिपार्टमेंट का तो खैर रोल है ही है, उसका कोई लेकिन उसके अलावा उर्दू में जो मुख्तलिफ शोबों में जो लोग हैं, उन लोगों ने भी उर्दू अदब को मालामाल करने में, और यहाँ के जो तलबा थे उन्होंने बहुत अहम रोल अदा किया। मैं माज़रत खा हूँ आप लोगों की समा खरा, आप लोगों को इतनी देर आपकी मैंने इतनी देर तक समा खराशी की, बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। चूंकि मौजू बहुत वसी था और बहुत अहम खिदमात थी, मैं सोच रहा था सबका जल्दी जल्दी नाम ले लूं, लेकिन वो भी हमारे ख्याल में बात पूरी नहीं हो पाई। बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया।
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया शाफे साहब। इट वाज अ डिफिकल्ट टास्क गिवन टू यू बिकॉज उर्दू इज सच ए कम्प्रिहेंसिव थिंग एट अलीगढ़, और आपको 15 मिनट क्या 5 घंटे भी कम पड़ते, बहुत मुश्किल था। तो बहरहाल खुर्शीद इस्लाम साहब का नाम रह गया, शायद जज्बी साहब का भी नाम रह गया।
जज्बी साहब का तो हाँ जी, खुर्शीद इस्लाम साहब का जी बिल्कुल।
तो चलिए अब आगे बढ़ते हैं।
जज्बी साहब का नाम लिया था मैंने जी जी।
कोई बात नहीं, तो अब आगे बढ़ते हैं। Most of us know a little bit about English and बहुत कुछ उर्दू के बारे में अलीगढ़ के सिलसिले से लेकिन ज्यादातर हम लोग फारसी के बारे में बहुत कम जानते हैं, और आज आई थिंक ये एक बड़ा अच्छा मौका है। तो प्रोफेसर अजरमी दुख्त सफ़ी, who is a very well known scholar in India and even Iran. She is the chairman, was the chairman and now a senior professor at Aligarh Muslim University Persian Department. इनका कंट्रीब्यूशन पीएचडी इन्होंने नज़ीर अहमद साहब के अंडर में की, और टॉपिक इनका सादी एज ए ह्यूमनिस्ट एंड लिरिसिस्ट था। और इनका एक बहुत बड़ा कंट्रीब्यूशन जो इंडिया में यूनिक है कि इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ पर्शियन स्टडीज़ इन्होंने कायम की अलीगढ़ में, और 40 से ज़्यादा किताबें लिखी, 150 से ज़्यादा आर्टिकल्स इनके नेशनल इंटरनेशनल जर्नल्स में, और जितने बड़े अवार्ड्स हैं फारसी के ताल्लुक से वो आपको मिल चुके हैं। प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया का अवार्ड आपको 2005 में मिला, लाइफ टाइम अचीवमेंट अवार्ड आपको ईरान से 2015 में मिला, गालिब अवार्ड, मैकश अवार्ड, एक सीरीज है सादी अवार्ड फ्रॉम गवर्नमेंट ऑफ ईरान। शी इज अ वेरी वेल नोन एंड अकॉम्प्लिश्ड स्कॉलर। तो अब आप जरा हम लोग के बारे में बताएं अलीगढ़ के सिलसिले से। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you very much. Can you hear me?
जी जी।
Can you hear me? Okay. Salam, adab, greetings from Aligarh to all the Aligarhians assembled there. And I'm very happy that you have given me this opportunity to share my thoughts with you on this very auspicious occasion of the centenary celebrations of Aligarh Muslim University. And I congratulate all of you for this. Another thing for which I must compliment you is for selecting this very, very meaningful topic, that is literature and sports. Aligarh Muslim University in literature and sports. Because these two things, literature and sports, I believe that they bring out the best in human nature. And in every university, Faculty of Humanities is the backbone and the raison d'etre of any prestigious university. And so it was with Aligarh. Well, as you said, probably not many people know what AMU or Muslim University, or even before the university was established, what was the state of Persian scholarship at this place. But I would like to say that even before the university was established, the great founder of this university, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, who wanted English education for us, but at the same time, he was fully aware of the importance and relevance of Persian studies and Persian scholarship, especially in India. Because Persian is not only a language which teaches us poetry and literary prose, but it is very, very closely connected with Indian medieval history and the composite culture of India. And Sir Syed knew it very well. And if we read his khutbat, we see him frequently referring to Persian and Arabic, and he has said, and I quote here, अगर इन दो ज़बानों को नहीं जानोगे तो अपनी तारीख और अपनी सकाफत से बेखबर रहोगे. And just to prove his point, what he did himself was, he was, not many of us know, probably you don't know that Sir Syed was a poet of Persian, and he has composed beautiful ghazals in Persian, which when I was editor of Fikr Nazar, I brought out a number on Sir Syed, and his Persian ghazals were included in that special number on Sir Syed. But what he did was that to show to us that Persian is as important or probably more important to us than any other languages, foreign languages, I must say here, he himself edited Abul Fazl's magnum opus, Ain-e-Akbari, which is based on India's medieval history, and then again memoirs of Emperor Jahangir, that is Tuzuk-e-Jahangiri. So Sir Syed edited these two books, and even Ghalib, who is supposed to be the visionary being a poet, even Ghalib objected to him that why are you printing, why are you editing Ain-e-Akbari but to which Sir Sayyid did not answer to him. And he wanted Ghalib to write a taqreez on his Ain-e-Akbari. And in that taqreez, Ghalib says that Persian or Ain-e-Akbari is something of the past. But Sir Sayyid knew that culture and history is never past. After Sir Sayyid, his followers like Shibli Nomani or Altaf Hussain Hali, they were pioneers of Persian literary criticism in India. I'm sure many people know that Sherul Ajam by Shibli Nomani is the first literary criticism book about Persian poets, and not only in India, in Iran also. शेरुल अजम शिबली की सिर्फ हिंदुस्तान में ही नहीं, ईरान में भी उस वक्त फारसी की नक़्द पर, फारसी के शुअरा के ऊपर कोई ऐसी अच्छी नक़्द किताब थी ही नहीं जैसी कि शिबली ने शेरुल अजम हिंदुस्तान में लिखी, और अल्ताफ हुसैन हाली ने यादगारे गालिब लिखी जिसमें पर्शियन का रोल था, और हयाते सादी लिखी. So this was a very, very strong background for Aligarh Muslim University to promote and propagate Persian scholarship and Persian studies. It was with the very inception of the university that the Department of Persian was established. At first, it was near Stratey Hall, and it was confined only in 2 rooms. Later on, of course, it was shifted to the Faculty of Arts new building. But in the beginning, it was there in the Stratey Hall. And so many people there are whose scholarship, whose contribution to Persian language and literature, researches in Persian, that really it is difficult, as Shafi Qidwai was facing this difficulty of encompassing all the works which has been done by Urdu scholars, Urdu poets, Urdu critics. I'm also facing the same difficulty because maybe you don't know them, but there are so many scholars of Persian which have contributed a lot to Persian studies, to Persian scholarship, and Persian criticism. You know what? As long as the British were here, Persian was considered as foreign language. So much so that they established the Fort William College and started to translate Persian books into Indian languages because they wanted to just obliterate Persian from the Indian scene, because they associated it with the past kingdoms of Mughal Shahenshahs. So Persian was a rival language because it was with English. At that time, Persian was amongst the first international languages of the world. And let me remind you that even from India, the first Indic mystic thought that was contained in Upanishad was translated into Persian by Prince Dara Shikoh, and that was the first time that this Indic thought was transcending across the borders from India and going to Europe and to other places and to Iran as well. So the British treated Persian as a foreign language. So after the freedom, the roles reversed, fortunately, because then Persian scholars in India wanted to give a distinct identity to that Persian which was written on the Indian subcontinent. And Persian department at Aligarh Muslim University took a lead in this. And I think this was a great job that they did at that time, because till that time, we were just treating ourselves and as a colony of Iran, as a people who have learned Persian from Iran. While the truth was this, that India has developed its own style. India has developed so many forms in literature and in poetry which were alien to Iran, but not enough attention was being paid to them. It was from Aligarh University that this tehreek, I must call it, this movement began with Professor Hadi Hasan, the iconic and legendary professor of Persian, which I'm sure everybody knows even there while you are sitting there. I'm sure you have heard the name of Professor Hadi Hasan, with his monocle and his graceful sherwani and his beautiful command over not only Persian, but Hindi and English and other languages as well. So this was Professor Hadi Hasan, who thought that not only teaching to teach or to do researches about Iranian Persian is not enough. Indian scholars must pay enough attention to their own scholars, to their own poets, to their own writers. And so we see that he wrote articles upon articles, books upon books about the Persian that was produced in India. His studies in Persian literature, a study of pre-Mughal poets in India, his edition of Emperor Humayun's unpublished Persian work, it all goes to say that he wanted to make a point. He wanted to make this point that now tables have turned. Now we are producing our own Persian compositions, our own Persian poetry, and we should acquire a distinct identity of ourselves. But at the same time, Professor Hadi Hasan knew that only teaching literature and poetry is not enough unless you know the civilization, the culture, the history of not only your own country, but the country where this language that you are teaching has originated. So his remarkable work, Persian Navigation, that takes into account the naval history of not only Iran, but the entire world in ancient times, and the naval communication between India and Iran. And from the very, very beginning, from the Sasanian times to the 16th century, Dr. Hadi Hasan pursued this naval history, taking into account the famous pincer movement of the World War and showing how this ancient information about naval history could be had from literary books, from books produced in Iran or in India, from poetry, from prose. He takes references even from Firdausi's Shahnama, because he wanted to show that literature is not only to be enjoyed, there is so much information containing in that it contains that we have to give it enough attention. So Hadi Hasan's contribution in Aligarh was this, that at one time he was going for Iranian civilization and showing us the way how to communicate with them, how to deal with the Iranian culture and how to understand it by writing this beautiful book. And at the same time, he was giving a distinct identity to the Persian works produced in India. And he was a beautiful Persian speaker, I must call him. He was a brilliant speaker, we all know that. And at that time, now we speak Persian left, right, and center, because that was a time when it was not so common, especially in small towns like Aligarh. But Hadi Hasan, his mother was Iranian, so he had full command over this beautiful spoken Persian. And when Raza Shah, who was the emperor of Iran at that time, visited Aligarh Muslim University with Queen Suraya, Professor Hadi Hasan was asked to deliver a special speech in front of the then emperor. And when Hadi Hasan spoke at that time, the emperor was so impressed that he embraced Hadi Hasan and kissed him on his forehead. So this was his communication with the Iranian language, but he was also a scholar of Hindi. So he translated Kalidas Shakuntala into English, and when it was performed on the stage, Dr. Hadi Hasan used to take part in the performance, and he used to do, as we call it these days, mono acting, representing many characters from the Shakuntala Natak, and he used to act those characters himself. On the other side, not many people know that he took part in the freedom struggle of India too, and Gandhi ji has appreciated his efforts in one of his articles. At the same time, he was busy collecting funds for the medical college at Aligarh Muslim University with the vice chancellor, and he was so successful in this that even today, as you all must be knowing, we have this Hadi Hasan Hall named as a tribute to Professor Hadi Hasan. So the Tehreek, the movement that was started by Hadi Hasan, was carried on by none other than the world-renowned, my teacher, Professor Nazir Ahmad. He was a scholar of unparalleled dedication and devotion to his subject, and he spent his entire life working on Persian manuscripts available at Maulana Azad Library of Aligarh Muslim University, available at different towns in India, available in Iran, available in Tajikistan or in Afghanistan or wherever in America. because her family, his daughters were there. So he used to visit America and used to collect these manuscripts and worked on them. He was a great scholar who's remembered and who's well acknowledged, not only in India, but in Iran and all over the world. His mainstay was that literature and language must be connected with history. Otherwise, they're not going to survive. So the Persian department at Aligarh Muslim University became a pioneering department in editing old manuscripts about medieval Indian history. Nazir Saab edited them himself. Sometimes he gave them to us who were his students, and sometimes even his Iranian friends, they collaborated with Professor Nazir Ahmad. He discovered a very, very unique manuscript of Diwan-e Hafiz, which was not even available in Iran, in Gorakhpur, and he published it in collaboration with an Iranian scholar. And it was so well received in Iran that it has been published 13 times from that time till now. And another of his achievement, I mean, many, many achievements. Really, if I can just go on talking about Professor Nazir Ahmad, it will take me not only hours or minutes, it will take me days. But I don't have time, as Professor Shafiq I didn't have time. But he worked on Kitab-e-Nauras, which was written by Ibrahim Adil Shah II, who was a king of Bijapur, and that was about Dakhani music, and the book was in Dakhani language. But Nazir Ahmad went to the extent of learning Dakhani, learning music, and musical terminology available in Kitab-e-Nauras and the Hindu. So much so, and this is very much interesting to me, and it will be to you also when you know it, so much so that when Nauras was published by the Sangeet Kala Academy of India,
Sorry, Rafat, please try.
I'm looking.
Okay. All right. Please
अमी
unmute.
मैडम अनम्यूट हो, मैं उनको मैं एक मिनट वो अनम्यूट कर लें आप मैडम. Sorry. Yeah, please.
Go ahead.
मैडम म्यूटेड हैं अभी, आप अनम्यूट कर लें मैडम प्लीज.
Dr. Safvi, please unmute yourself.
Yeah, she's trying.
Or Rafat bhai, you can also unmute
Yeah, I
her.
am looking that where is she? Okay, done.
All right.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Good.
Please
Good
go ahead.
enough.
Hello? Yes, okay. Sorry about that. So, नौशाद साहब समझे कि नजीर साहब एक मौसीकी के माहिर हैं और उन्होंने उनको एक ऑफर लेटर भेजा कि अगर आप बॉम्बे में आकर हमको मौसीकी के हमारे साथ मौसीकी में शेयर करें और फिल्मों में म्यूजिक दें तो हम आपके बहुत शुक्रगुजार होंगे. Nazir साहब was very much amused and he used to show that letter to all his students and friends. So this was Professor Nazir Ahmad, who really took Persian researches and Persian scholarship to many, many new heights. And then we came to regard Professor Nazir Ahmad as our guide for not only just doing PhD, but to tell us which is the best topic, which is the best field in Persian scholarship to base our researches on that. And even today, so many people all over India are benefiting from Professor Nazir Ahmad's scholarship and his researches. And another name, so this was editing, this was lexicography, which was Nazir Saab's field. Another of his fields was lexicography, which was a very, very difficult field. ये dictionaries और ये lexicons जो हिंदुस्तान में लिखे गए और जो हिंदुस्तान की फारसी के लफ्ज भी जिसमें शामिल थे, उनको नजीर अहमद साहब ने और lexicon का डिक्शनरी का एडिट करना कितना मुश्किल काम है ये हम और आप सब जान सकते हैं, लेकिन उन्होंने पर्शियन की एंशियंट डिक्शनरी से लेकर के जो जदीद डिक्शनरीज हैं उन तक को एडिट किया, एंड दे हैव बीन पब्लिश्ड इन इंडिया एज वेल एज इन ईरान। अभी तक जो बात हो रही थी डिपार्टमेंट में वो ज्यादातर एडिटिंग की हो रही थी, हिस्टोरिकल रिसर्चेस की हो रही थी, लिटरेरी क्रिटिसिज्म का अभी तक बहुत ज्यादा चलन पर्शियन डिपार्टमेंट में नहीं हुआ था। But then comes Professor Nabi Hadi. Professor Nabi Hadi was a teacher of mine, and he had a purely literary critical bent of mind. And he wrote a book on Bedil. And Bedil is a very, very difficult poet, Indian poet of Persian, because he uses very, very quaint metaphors, allegories, similes, and the language is so permeated with mystical thought that it was really difficult to understand Bedil. And he is supposed to be a yogi, he is supposed to be a Sufi, he is supposed to be a Darwish, and his Urs is celebrated in Afghanistan, in Tajikistan, and in so many other places. So Professor Nabi Hadi took it upon himself to write a book about Bedil, and it was a fantastic book. And it opened new vistas of Bedil Shanasi, or expertise in Bedil. And that was translated into English, that was translated into Persian, and even today it is the harf-e akhir in understanding this difficult poet of Indian style poetry of Sabke Hindi. And then he wrote a book on the poet laureates of Mughal emperors and called it Mughlon ke Malik-u-Shuara. He starts with Akbar and comes down to Jahangir and Shah Jahan. And the literary stance that he takes, the different schools of literary criticism which he applies in these books are really amazing. And he was the person who used to tell me, बिटिया हर साल तुम डिक्लाइन एंड फॉल ऑफ रोमन एम्पायर पढ़ा करो, क्योंकि उसको पढ़कर बहुत अक्ल खुलती है और अंग्रेजी बहुत अच्छी हो जाती है. So he was one of those teachers who really inspired the students to not only confine themselves in Persian studies, but to just to interact with other literatures as well. And now we know that comparative literature has now become a very, very hard topic, a very, very hard branch of literature, comparative literature. But Professor Nabi Hadi had the sense that we must interact with other languages too, in order to understand the language which we teach, or of which we think ourselves the expert. So Professor Nabi Hadi took a new turn, gave a new turn to the Department of Persian, and he introduced literary criticism. He used to teach this paper also, Persian literary criticism, and naturally the angle of research is then changed. In the beginning, it was only editing the manuscripts, writing about the manuscript, writing introduction about them, but now it encompassed literary criticism in its sphere, and all of us were suddenly aware that yes, without a criticism, without literary criticism, nobody can understand the Persian text, nobody can understand any text at all. So this was the new, so to say, the new turn that the department took, which was followed by none other than Professor Waris Kirmani. As Dr. Shafe was just saying, Waris Kirmani साहब उर्दू में भी लिखते थे, उर्दू में भी शायरी करते थे, फारसी में भी शायरी करते थे, अंग्रेजी में भी शायरी करते थे. He was my teacher also, and he wrote a book on Ghalib's Persian poetry. Now Ghalib was a disciple of Bedil. वो कहता है कि भाई बेदिल के बगैर तो हमारा काम ही नहीं चलता. Although बाद में वो उससे मुनकिर हो गए और उन्होंने अपने आप को बेदिल से अलग किया, but in the beginning he was following Bedil in his poetry. And Ghalib's Persian poetry is a beautiful poetry, but very difficult to really grasp and understand. And Professor Waris Kirmani wrote an evaluation of Ghalib's Persian poetry and Ghalib as a traditionalist and a rationalist. These two books by Professor Waris Kirmani are really very, very important for Ghalib Shanasi, for Ghalib studies. And another, एक एहसान उन्होंने जो किया हम सब के ऊपर, जो पुराने शायर हैं उनका कलाम फारसी का छपता ही नहीं, मिलता ही नहीं, खुसूसन जो हिंदुस्तान में शुआरा गुजरे हैं. Professor Waris Kirmani prepared an anthology of the Indo Persian poets and called it, very aptly he calls it, Dreams Forgotten. And I wanted to recite a Persian का मिसरा शुरू में मैं पढ़ने वाली थी और फिर अंग्रेजी के चक्कर में मैं वो मिसरा भूल गई पढ़ना. आप लोग जो कर रहे हैं उसके लिए गाही गाही बाज खां ये किस्से पारी नरा. The poet says that please do recall once in a while this old forgotten story. So what Waris Kirmani has done was to prepare an anthology of Persian poets, and even today it is prescribed in our course, and we study these Persian poets. There are brief critical analytical notes also in the beginning of the poetry, but this is prescribed in our course as well. And then there was a name which was taken just now. Yes, he was not associated, unfortunately, with the Department of Persian, but he's a global figure, and that is Professor Munibur Rahman. Professor Munibur Rahman, जिनको अभी हमने luckily आपके मुशायरे में अब्दुल्ला साहब हमने उनको देखा, and I was so happy. I have been very close to him when he used to come to India, but unfortunately he is not able to come due to his ill health or difficulty in traveling. So I was so happy to see him looking as healthy and as happy as ever. So Professor Munibur Rahman was the person जिनकी किताब को मैंने अपने कोर्स में पढ़ा, and that was about modern Persian poetry and modern Persian prose. उस वक्त जब उन्होंने ये किताबें लिखी थी और ये एंथोलॉजी कुछ उन्होंने भी बनाई थी, तो हम लोग जो स्टूडेंट्स थे उस वक्त, हमारे पास मॉडर्न पर्शियन पढ़ने का कोई वसीला और कोई जरिया नहीं था. ईरान से उस वक्त किताबों का आना जाना भी बहुत मुश्किल था, अब तो बहुत फ्रीक्वेंटली आती हैं. सो दीज टू बुक्स बाय प्रोफेसर मुनीबुर रहमान opened new chapters for us at Aligarh Muslim University, and we were acquainted with modern Persian poetry. We were acquainted, but not in such a systematic way जिस तरह मुनीब साहब ने हमको समझाया और जिस तरह उनके कलेक्शन से हमने मॉडर्न पर्शियन को सीखा, वो शायद किसी और तरीके से हमारे लिए मुश्किल था उसको सीखना. और बहुत से लोग गुजरे हैं कि जिनके नाम यहाँ लेने में बहुत, मुझे नहीं मालूम है कि मुझे कितने मिनट्स हुए हैं, लेकिन मैं इसके साथ इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ पर्शियन का भी नाम जरूर लेना चाहूंगी यहाँ के ऊपर. और ऐसा हुआ कि पर्शियन डिपार्टमेंट में जिस वक्त मैं चेयरमैन थी, तो यूजीसी ने स्पेशल असिस्टेंस का मर्तबा दिया और यानी रिसर्च करने के लिए एक स्पेशल डिपार्टमेंट इसको बनाया गया, और एक लैंग्वेज लैब हमने ईरानियंस के कोलैबोरेशन से यहाँ कायम की, जो डिपार्टमेंट में मौजूद है. इसके जरिए से हम फारसी बोलना भी सिखा सकते हैं अपने स्टूडेंट्स को. और उसी के साथ साथ खुदा ने मुझे ये तौफीक दी कि मैंने यहाँ पर ये मरकज़ी तहकीकात या पर्शियन इंस्टीट्यूट कायम किया. एंड द बेसिक आइडिया बिहाइंड दिस इंस्टीट्यूट व्हिच आई हैड इन माइंड वाज कि पर्शियन हिंदुस्तान में सिर्फ शेर और अदब पढ़ने के लिए नहीं है भाई, बल्कि पर्शियन एक सोर्स लैंग्वेज है जिसमें हमको सोशल साइंस की, ज्योग्राफी की, पॉलिटिकल साइंस की, हिस्ट्री की, तिब की, फिलोसफी की, एंड यू नेम इट, any subject that you want, you get minds and minds of information in this language. So we should not confine ourselves only to Persian poetry or to Persian prose literature. We should interact, as I just said, we should interact with other disciplines too. So the basic thrust behind establishing this institute, which I had in mind was, and which luckily I was able to fulfill, that we must take projects with other disciplines, like with philosophy department. I did a project with Tamil people. I did a project with Bengali people. I did a project with Telugu people. I did a project with geography people. I did a project with commerce people. And what? For example, information about medieval Indian commerce and industry in Ain Akbari. Shah Wasim, professor of commerce, he worked with me and we worked together and we brought out this information from Abul Fazl Ain Akbari, and it was amazing. It was amazing for Iranians, it was amazing for Indians, because you see, Persian carries so much information, and I'm very sorry to say that not many people are aware of the fact. And ये हमारी अपनी कमी है कि हम उसको बता नहीं पाते आप लोगों को. आप लोग जो अमेरिका में बैठे हुए हैं शायद समझते हैं कि फारसी में सिर्फ गुलो बुलबुल लड़ाए जाते हैं. ऐसा नहीं होता है. फारसी एक बिल्कुल अहम और एक बिल्कुल मॉडर्न जबान है.
सॉरी, चूंकि दूसरे प्रोग्राम
हम लोग सब कुछ लिख सकते हैं. एंड I am again Many thanks. Probably I have exceeded my time. Thank you very much. और मैं ये कहना चाहती हूँ आखिर में कि आजाद लाइब्रेरी का भी अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी के साथ साथ फारसी को आगे बढ़ाने में बहुत बड़ा रोल रहा है और अब भी हम लोग इस जबान को इस यूनिवर्सिटी में जो अहमियत हासिल है वो शायद दूसरी जगहों पर नहीं है. थैंक यू वेरी मच.
जी बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. मेरे ख्याल से ये हम लोगों की ज्यादती थी आप लोगों के ऊपर. ये प्रोग्राम्स हम लोगों को पूरे 1 घंटे के एक स्पीकर के साथ करने चाहिए और शायद इन फ्यूचर आवर एसोसिएशन विल ट्राई टू डू दिस to bring the departmental chairmen to brief about their activities. Anyway, thank you very much. बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया. अब ये मेरे ख्याल से स्पीकर्स के बाद हमारे पास प्रेसिडेंशियल एड्रेस इस सेशन का है. तो आई रिक्वेस्ट डॉक्टर अब्दुल्ला साहब से कि वो अपना प्रेसिडेंशियल एड्रेस दें और ताकि ये कंक्लूड किया जा सके सेशन.
अनम्यूट कीजिए. अनम्यूट योरसेल्फ. ओके गुड.
सुनाई नहीं दे रहा.
दिखाई हो गया.
अच्छी बात है. चलिए, सबसे बड़ी बात यह है कि वक्त कम होने की वजह से फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल I must congratulate Razi that bringing such a great panel, and we learned a lot. That was really good. And as Razi suggested that like it should be a separate session for each speaker, at least that so that we can learn a little more. My selection perhaps as a president, one criteria was that I अंग्रेजी मेरी हमेशा से कमजोर थी. फारसी जानता नहीं था. उर्दू मैंने अमेरिका में आके सीखी. So that's why I cannot say much. लेकिन मेरे जमाने में अंग्रेजी में जब मैं अलीगढ़ में था तो अंग्रेजी डिपार्टमेंट का जो किस्सा बताया प्रोफेसर सिद्दीकी ने, वो चाहे तो मेरे अलीगढ़ आने से पहले का था या अलीगढ़ से छोड़ने के बाद का था. तो बहरकैफ we learned a lot. That's why I learned a lot. शाफिक अदवाई साहब का अलीगढ़ में जो रशीद अहमद सिद्दीकी ने कई बार कहा, ये कहीं लिखा है कि साहब उर्दू का एक नाम अलीगढ़ भी है. तो इतने लंबे टॉपिक को, और अलीगढ़ तहरीक मेरी नज़र में उर्दू की भी पहली तहरीक थी जिसमें उन्होंने 2 चीज़ों का तस्करा किया. नज़्म निगारी भी मेरे ख्याल से अलीगढ़ तहरीक के ज़ेर असर ज़्यादा बढ़ी. बाकी जो है फारसी में बातें हुई. मतलब ये टॉपिक्स बहुत बड़े बड़े हैं सब. फारसी में डॉक्टर सफवी ने जो बातें की, इत्तेफाक से मुझे हादी हसन साहब को अलीगढ़ में अपने ज़माने में सुनने का मौका मिला. तो मैं उनकी अंग्रेज़ी और फारसी दोनों ज़बानों पर जो उनको कुदरत हासिल थी उसका मैं फर्स्ट हैंड एक्सपीरियंस है. और यहाँ पे नज़ीर साहब अक्सर आया करते थे, बल्कि एक यहाँ पे खुसरो सोसाइटी थी उसके साथ भी उन्होंने काम किया था, शिकागो बेस. और ज़माने में मुलाकात हुई. हमारे यहाँ भी एक मौज़म साहब हमारी एसोसिएशन में बहुत एक्टिव है. उनकी भी पीएचडी जो है बेदिल के ऊपर है. तो बुनियादी तौर पर यह है कि हम लोग लेक्चर तो देंगे, लेकिन ये डिपार्टमेंट में आप लोग इन्वॉल्व हैं. मेरे ख्याल से मेरा एक सजेशन है कि मुख्तलिफ सेक्शंस पे वहाँ पे छोटे छोटे डिसर्टेशन इस पे होने चाहिए कि अलीगढ़ का जो कंट्रीब्यूशन रहा है वो एक सेक्शन पर लेकर, ताकि वो हिस्टोरिकल डॉक्यूमेंट ठीक से हो जाए. वो एक काम है. बाकी बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया आप लोगों का. शुक्रिया फॉर्मली किसी और को करना है. मैं इतना ही कहूँगा कि आई एम ओवरवेल्म्ड by all the information we got, and thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdullah bhai, and thank you, Razi bhai, for this wonderful program. And we conclude this first session. Now, today we have a second session, which is on sports. So for that, I will definitely like to request my senior Faisal Salim Saab, who is based in Phoenix, Arizona. He was very actively involved with me to organize this event. I'm really thankful to Faisal Salim bhai and Kamran Ziauddin Saab to put together this session. And before officially starting the session, I will request our guest today, Dr. Zafar Iqbal Saab, who is very well known, and I don't need to introduce him much. We all know him, we all love him. He is the former captain of Indian hockey and former coach of Indian hockey. And he was recently awarded a D.Litt from Aligarh Muslim University. Not only that, there is a PhD from Aligarh Muslim University on his life and contribution too, from the physical education department. So I will request Dr. Zafar Iqbal Saab to please preside this session on sports. And before taking much time, I'll request Faisal Salim Saab from Phoenix, Arizona, who was also a captain of tennis club of Aligarh Muslim University and one of the founding member of Aligarh Alumni Association of Arizona, of which I was also there along with him. So please, Faisal bhai, come on the stage and start the session on AMU and its sports. Faisal Salim.
Thank you, Afzal, and I welcome you all to the session on the sports, but first like to thank a very enlightening session on literature, actually. So we learned a lot, and I think the credit goes to Aligarh Alumni Association of Washington, D.C. Nobody has done this kind of series or this kind of a conference, a session. So we are all learning, but it is a tremendous effort. So congratulations to your association, Afzal Abdullah Bhai, who has been the founder of Aligarh movements, you can say, in the United States. All the way from Abdullah Bhai to Afzal, your association has been the cheerleader and has led many, many things here. So congratulations. I would start with welcoming our chief guest, Dr. Zafar Iqbal. And it's nice to see him.
I'm not the chief guest, but
of the session. And
I'm the part of the event.
Yeah. So we are sportsmen. So I think, Afzal, you put us on purpose after the literature so that we can compete very well. So we'll do well. All you have to just is give us some time, so don't worry. So our session is split into two parts. So the first part of our session is historical background by Professor Asim Siddiqui. You saw him, how eloquently he presented the literature side of things. And I am sure that you'll like him sharing the sports background. Now he has been supported by Kamran Ziauddin. Kamran has done a tremendous work in collecting information also about AMU sports. He has prepared some very nice slides. I love his slides. So he was the first person I reached out when Afzal contacted me. So Kamran, thank you again, for all the hard work you have done in organizing this and all the work you have done in the past. We'll start this session again going back to Sir Syed, and I know you will hear the history. And Sir Syed was himself a sports person, swimming and wrestling. He used to excel. But then when he brought the Western model in the education. Can you please mute your? Thank you. So what I was going with is. Thank you. Yeah, so the sports has been in a Western model part of university education. And, here in US, it's very prestigious to participate in college teams. And same was in Aligarh. And, we have to work twice. We have to work for our degrees, and then we have to work for our sports team, making sure that we're excelling there. We are getting the colors, we are getting the captainship. So we had a double duty to do in Aligarh. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Asim Saab. And Asim Saab, please take on.
शुक्रिया बहुत बहुत. सबसे पहले तो मैं शुक्रिया अदा करना चाहूँगा एलुमनाई एसोसिएशन का कि आपने मुझे इसके लिए मुंतखब किया, और मेरे लिए ये एक ड्रीम कम ट्रू एक्सपीरियंस है, क्योंकि ज़फ़र इकबाल साहब यहाँ पर मौजूद हैं. और आपको मैं जो पैनल डिस्कशन होगा उससे पहले मतलब इसकी एक बैकग्राउंड के लिए एक चीज़ बताना चाहता हूँ कि जिस वक्त मैं अलीगढ़ नहीं आया था तो मैं अलीगढ़ के किसी स्टूडेंट को जानता था, ना किसी टीचर को जानता था, ना वाइस चांसलर को जानता था, ना अलीगढ़ के किसी पहले भी वाइस चांसलर को जानता था, लेकिन मैं जफर इकबाल साहब का फैन हुआ करता था और उनके सारे मैचेस की मैं कमेंट्री सुनता था। और इसी तरह से जो स्पोर्ट्स के दूसरे जो आइकॉन्स अलीगढ़ के हैं उनके बारे में भी सुना करता था। तो जो अगले सेशन के अंदर जो स्पोर्ट्स पर डिस्कशन होगा वो इस मामले में रेलिवेंट है कि स्पोर्ट्स के जो हीरोज हैं वो कहाँ पहुंचे। हमें नहीं पता है कि एंटीगुआ का कौन प्रेसिडेंट रहा है, लेकिन हम सब रिचर्ड्स को जानते हैं। हम नहीं जानते कि साहब और वहां पर कौन से पॉलिटिकल लीडर थे, लेकिन हम रिचर्डसन को जानते हैं। इसी तरह से हमें शायद मेरे ख्याल से ब्राजील के बहुत से आजकल तो उनके ब्राजील के प्रेसिडेंट को ज्यादा जानने लगे हैं, लेकिन ये कि ब्राजील के फुटबॉलर्स को सब जानते हैं। तो ये इन थॉट्स के साथ मे बी आई कैन जस्ट गिव अ वेरी ब्रीफ बैकग्राउंड ऑफ history of sports at Aligarh Muslim University. When we talk about sports, obviously we can talk about different sports. We can talk about hockey, you can talk about tennis, and of course we have many of our cricket captains, many of our hockey captains and sports captains. They will talk about these events, but maybe just a few highlights. So if we just think about say hockey, we know that Zafar Saab is an icon for all of us, and how he held that tricolor say high in Los Angeles. He was leading Indian contingent, and of course we all felt proud when he won gold medal at Moscow. And here it is also important to know that behind Zafar Iqbal Saab there has been a tradition of sports at AMU. There has been a tradition of excellent hockey players at AMU. And we know that how important is tradition to any individual player. And again, I am bringing back one very important essay written by T.S. Eliot, Tradition and the Individual Talent. Tradition and the Individual Talent. So sometimes individual talent is also greatly related to tradition. We have literary traditions in countries where literature is produced. We don't have any literary tradition in certain countries, and we don't have any individual examples of geniuses. So here sports tradition also is very important. And if I can just think about some important hockey player that AMU has produced, we can possibly have a long list, beginning with Firoz Khan, who was part of Indian team at Amsterdam Olympics in 1928. Then we had say Ehsan Muhammad Khan. He represented India in Berlin in 1936. Akhtar Hussain, another very important player. He played for India and he also played for Pakistan. So again in 1948 and 1956. And we know that at the time of the partition, number of important players, they migrated to Pakistan, and so there they played say, cricket and hockey and other events of Pakistan. But they all were part of AMU. We can also mention some other very important names in hockey. We can mention Abdul Qayyum, who represented Pakistan in 1948. Ali Saeed, he represented India in Olympics in Tokyo in 1964. Anwar Ahmad Khan, 1956, 60, 64. Masood Ali Khan, Minhas, he represented again India at Los Angeles. Yogendra Singh at Rome in 1968 and 1964 at Tokyo. Inamur Rahman Saab, he represented India in Mexico Olympics in 1968. Govinda Saab, of course, 1972-76. And Aslam Sher Khan also practiced his hockey here. He also practiced his hockey here. So that means he honed his hockey skills here. And of course, we have our icon, Zafar Iqbal Saab, who is part of Aligarh tradition, who is steeped into Aligarh traditions, who is a fully homegrown hockey player who has come from Aligarh. And we all salute to him for his performances. So hockey has a great history. And similarly, we can say that there have been some examples of individual geniuses in other sports also. Recently, we saw that Anuraj Singh, say, won gold medal in 10-meter pistol at Commonwealth Games. And of course, there was one very important tennis player, Ghaus Muhammad. He represented India, and in fact, he was the first to enter Wimbledon quarterfinals. That means another important name. And here, probably we can speak at length at another very important sport, which is our passion, which is a kind of secular religion of India, and that is cricket. So cricket has a very illustrious history at Aligarh. And in fact, many of my students, if they are attending this program, they probably will be astonished to know that Aligarh has had a remarkable history as far as cricket is concerned. And how is it possible? Let me also just contextualize Aligarh's excellence in cricket. You know that when when AMU college was established, for Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, it was a kind of Oxbridge model. It was a kind of Oxbridge model. And at that time in Britain, we talked about Victorian period. So Victorian period or Victorian era is a very important era in literature, in culture, in philosophy, and it carried with it a certain worldview. Victorian literature is considered very important, but what is even more important is a certain attitude about physical fitness during the Victorian period. And this physical fitness is also very much reflected in the fixation on sports. And among all possible games, among all possible sports, it was cricket, which probably was the most important sport during the Victorian period. So cricket was a kind of, say, religion. Cricket was a sign of excellence. Cricket was a sign of sophistication. And so much so that some important intellectuals of the time, in fact, were outraged by British fixation on physical fitness. So if we analyze this thing, how Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was greatly impressed by British excellence, but on the other hand, there was the most important writer of the time, Matthew Arnold. He spoke against British fixation on physical fitness, and he also spoke against cricket. But cricket was the most important sport. So when AMU College was established, so with the establishment of AMU College, so very soon there was also the establishment of a cricket club. And of course, the date is also important, February the 9th, 1878. And it was started by Pandit Ramashankar Misra. And Pandit Ramashankar Misra used to teach mathematics. And there, at that time, there was also a particular dress, blue flannel coat, shirt, and very loose kind of trousers, and of course a cap. And members had to contribute 3 rupees. That means if they wanted to be member of cricket club of AMU College, they had to contribute 3 rupees. Now, one major development, one very important development took place when Theodore Bach joined the college as principal. And Theodore Bach, say, believed in the idea of what is called civilized masculinity. That is his word, civilized masculinity. And that means for him, it was very important that students performed in manly games where physical fitness was required. So that means this British model where studies were important, but at the same time, manly games were also important. This was responsible for Theodore Bach paying special attention to the game of cricket. And you know that immediately after he came, he paid attention to the cricket team and he took a tour of Punjab. And the year was 1883. And in that year, you'll be surprised to know that AMU College won 6 out of 7 games that it played. And it was very remarkable achievement. And then very soon, you say that he also introduced a very, say, elegant kind of dress where a very elegant black jacket with a border made of red satin, and also a monogram was attached. And you know that at that very time, one can also say that the cricket captain was a very important figure. And many cricket historians have written that cricket captain's room was the most important room. So there he will also solve problems. He will also mediate into different things in a way that was a post of great prestige. So gradually you see that Aligarh's cricket team was known for its excellence. And you know that at that time, Calcutta was the capital of British India. And Calcutta was home of cricket also. Calcutta was home of Englishmen. So another AMU team visited Calcutta and it defeated even Englishmen in a game. And of course, it filled everyone with great pride because British people, they were the rulers. So for AMU team, for AMU college team to defeat the masters, to defeat the rulers of the time, it filled everyone with nationalist pride. And this was a very important moment. Now here I must mention one very interesting detail. You know that Rudyard Kipling is probably one of the most important writers of 20th century. And he is also considered, say, a great champion of imperialism, great champion of colonialism. Rudyard Kipling wrote a novel, Kim, and Kim is still considered an iconic novel. And in the novel Kim, there is a reference to the team of AMU College. There, his character plays a match of cricket, and for him, it is his achievement that he plays a match against AMU College team. Kipling does not mention it, but it is implied that AMU College won that match. So for the most important writer of the time to think about a legal team and to talk about that team as a symbol of excellence and writing about that team in his most iconic work, it is no mean achievement. And you can say that at the same time, around the same time, Aligarh also defeated Patiala. And you know that Patiala was home of cricket. And it was also part of cricket politics. And it used to have very important team. So that means this was really remarkable history. Now, when one very important team, it was called Oxford Authentics. Oxford Authentics. It visited India. It also visited Sri Lanka. When it visited India in 1900, say 2 and 3, then one important match was also hosted in Aligarh. And that match actually ended in a draw. But Aligarh had a bowler, Ali Hassan. And it is mentioned by one important member of that team. His name was Cecil Headlam, who has written a whole book. He says that Ali Hassan came down like a wolf on the fold. That means he was so fast. And you know that a year later, in 1903, AMU College team visited Bombay. And at that time, a match was being scheduled. And this was unofficial test match, which was being scheduled between England and India. And this match was to be played in 1904. So the team went to Bombay in 1903 and it went there for trials. But for some reasons, that tour did not take off. And Bombay Gazette at that time wrote that if the team had been selected, then in the Indian team, 5 players from Aligarh at least would have been selected. Just imagine, today we feel very happy that, okay, one person, one player from Aligarh, not even from Aligarh Muslim University, plays IPL and we feel so happy. But in 1911, Indian team visited England. 1911, this date is very important. And this was the first All India team which visited England. And in this All India team, you know how many? As many as 3 players from AMU College. 3 players, and it's a very important number. Today we cannot even dream of having say our players in AMU cricket team. It's not easy, but at that time such was our excellence that we had 3 players in 1911 AMU College team. Who were these players? Shafqat Hussain, he was a fast bowler. Salimuddin Khan, he was an all-rounder. Syed Hassan, he was a wicketkeeper batsman. We all know that India played its first test match in 1932. First test match, first official test match. An Indian team visited England in 1932. Isn't it remarkable that in that 1932 team, we had as many as 4 players from AMU College. 4 players. Imagine in the Indian test team. Who were these players? Jahangir Khan. He was a very fine all-rounder. Good batsman, good bowler, fast bowler, and a very handy bat. We had Ghulam Muhammad. He was also part of the team, although he did not get a chance to be part of the 11, but he was a remarkable player. And we had Syed Wazir Ali. And you know that Wazir Ali was C.K. Naidu's competitor. And Wazir Ali would later also captain India when Jack Ryder's team visited India in 1935 and 36. He also captained India in 2 test matches. And say that team won. And of course, Wazir's younger brother, Nazir Ali. Remarkable that we had 4 players from AMU College representing Indian team on its first test tour. And of course, when England returned its visit to India 2 years later, then also we had quite a few players. Then we can think about India's visit to England in 1936. That was again a very important tour. And who were the AMU players who were part of that Indian team? Lala Amarnath. Lala Amarnath also studied at Aligarh, although he also studied here for a very brief period. Syed Mushtaq Ali. And of course, Syed Wazir Ali was still part of the team. In fact, Wazir Ali was one of the most iconic cricketers of his time, and he played all first 7 test matches that India played before the Second World War. So we can probably take pride from this fact that in 1932 team, we had 4 players from AMU. In 1936 team, we had 3 players. And later, you see, after the partition, probably cricket talent also migrated. And it is also a thesis, a very important thesis, which is advanced by a number of cricket writers, that the roots of Pakistan cricket lie in Aligarh. That means if Pakistan could excel in the field of cricket, and if Lahore and Karachi emerged as 2 important centers, then one reason was that Aligarh had already provided a platform. So here we are, and we can also talk about some important players who never made it to the test team, but they were important. And we can possibly talk about many central zone players. We can talk about, say, the team, Aligarh's team in 1970s, which had number of UP team, which had number of players from Aligarh. But still, we can mention Mohammad Shahid, Rafiullah Khan, Haseen Ahmad, Aslam Ali, Rizwan Shamshad. They all played for central zone. In fact, Rizwan Shamshad just missed the test call, and Rahul Dravid was selected. And of course, UP also had number of Aligarh players. And again, the list is long. Ghori Majid, Akhlaq Ahmad, Bayer Mustafa Khan, Fasahat Ali. And it was not only UP, but also, many players also played for 2 teams, for UP and for MP. I can mention Javed Rafiq Ansari Sahab. And Hyderabad also has had a tradition. And So earlier, say we had Bobby Zahiruddin, who was the captain of Aligarh cricket team and who also represented Hyderabad. So here we can certainly take pride from this fact that we have an illustrious history in hockey, in cricket, and of course examples of individual brilliance in other sports as well. This is my considered opinion that sports is probably as important, if not more important than studies, because we cannot think of a better ambassador for our university than probably Zafar Iqbal Saab. And sports is also a kind of secular religion of India. So I believe that university or our authorities, our say people who matter, they'll pay greater attention to sports so that we achieve that kind of brilliance that was already achieved by our say predecessors. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Asim Siddiqui. What an inspirational talk. I mean, this was really inspiring, and I hope that many youngsters and school kids are listening to your talk. This was very motivational. So thank you again. Now we will move to the second part of our session, which is, as I said, with a panel discussion. Before I do so, I would like to welcome Professor Amjad Rizvi. Thank you for joining us today. I know it's pretty late over there. And thank you for leading our Games Committee as a Secretary Games Committee. So we are very pleased to have you. I know you're a busy person, you're a surgeon also, so thank you for making time. Our moderator for the panel is Mr. Ishtiaq Ali. He is my senior. He joined AMU in 1969. He did his BLib, LLB, and LLM, all from Aligarh, graduated in 1980. He was a member of Riding Club for 8 years, participated in national tent pegging 3 times. One of the unique things of Ishtiaq Bhai is that not only him, but his whole family has been involved in AMU sports. Asim Saab, you mentioned Fasad. So Ishtiaq Bhai is the eldest brother of Fasad. And they all brothers, for some reason, chose different sports. Shikwat used to play tennis with us, then Hikmat, and brothers in cricket, in tennis, in riding. This is amazing. So currently, Ishtiaq Bhai has a very successful law firm in Bombay. He's a founder and manager of Orbit Law Services, which is a very successful firm, as I said. He is also the member of Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa. So Ishtiaq Bhai, we welcome you as a moderator, and you take it on from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Faisal, for your nice introduction. In fact, I am grateful to you. You pushed me to read these sports and understand the sport again. Because last almost 35 years, I was professionally involved in my profession. And the last sports activity I did in Chandigarh when I was an officer of Industrial Finance Corporation of India in tent packing activity and forming the, in fact, Equestrian Sports Club in Chandigarh. It was in 93, 94. After that, I didn't have any touch for that because of my health reason. I not in fact doing riding even in Aligarh. Anyway, after listening a good talk for everyone, and history is nice, tradition is nice, but now we have a panel who can guide us how to go forward, because future is also very important to understand any activity. No doubt Zafar Iqbal Saab is an ideal for everyone, and we were also in university, and is a great exception. And not because of Zafar Iqbal, I will take definitely credit goes to his father also. I was very close to Zafar Iqbal father as well as Faisal father, and both were very much interested in sports activity. I was lucky enough, my interaction, both of them great, and my interest in the sports is because of them. So looking with these traditions and understand the Aligarh in the past. Now we have with us Mr. Rizvi is a game secretary. He is a doctor and he is also a sports person. He played cricket also, as I know, because personally I have no interaction to anyone of my panelists, but I have, except I think Parvez. Parvez is also very close to my family also, and he's a cricketer and he is a invest banker and very successful in Qatar. And other panelist is Faisal Ziauddin. I just remember Faisal. Yes, he was just boy when I was in university. He was playing hockey, tennis, and Parvez was a cricketer. And other person is in a horse riding. I was a horse rider, but I don't remember him whether I had any interaction with him. And these are the people, but no one is representing here hockey because of, I am sure, because of Zafar Iqbal. No one is in panel because he is presiding. Now going with the, in fact, looking with the time schedule, we have already learned a lot of history. I will first start with Mr. Rizvi. Mr. Rizvi, we are not in touch with Aligarh, and most of us are not in touch with Aligarh about what is happening in Aligarh, how the sports is being organized, what is the infrastructure in sports, what is the present situations, what are the problems where we as alumni can also help for the future growth. If past is a good, why not our present is as good as it should be? So I would like you to at least in fact discuss about the present infrastructure, present positions, and how much things can be improved, and what are the facilities is required, how the things is managed, and how the alumni at international level can help for the growth of the sport as good activity, not from the point of view of the traditional sports where we thought about the human nature, discipline, personality development. Today, sports is a business, is a big business. Sports, I'm in a commercial capital of India and involved in commercial law. So I'm interacting day in, day out with all industries and everything. I wanted to know how to grow Aligarh Muslim University sports activity from the commercial angle also. How to motivate the people, where one can understand sport as a activity is going to give a great career, not only for your discipline and personality. Yes, Mr. Rizvi, can you explain how the things is being managed in Aligarh so we can understand, then we can discuss other panelists how to improve it.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, Shahbhai, for introducing me, and I thank all the organizers. I am very happy to see Mr. Zafar Iqbal here presiding over the function, and I'm also happy to see Faisal coordinating the things. Regarding the Games Committee, the basic structure is the same as it used to be. We have here 10 clubs and about 16 disciplines. And every year we have 16 captains from the different disciplines of the games. The things are basically the same, but I will just tell you what are the things which are added in last few years. I will start from hockey. Previously, we used to have only one grass ground of hockey, that is the main Games Committee complex. Now we have an AstroTurf just adjoining the cricket ground, which was the Aftab Hall ground. There is a AstroTurf for the hockey. And it was added with the help of Mr. Zafar Iqbal. He was there in Delhi and he make efforts so that we could get this AstroTurf because of him and his efforts. So it is there, and our team is playing there, and we have organized many tournaments there, many interversities there at AstroTurf. And beside the AstroTurf, we have for the sitting, we have stairs, and behind the stairs, we have a dormitory. So this is a quite good structure added to the games facilities. And this dormitory, the stairs we can use for the teams to stay. And last year we organized cricket university, and about 6 teams could stay there in the hockey ground. So this is a good facility. In the tennis, last year we added 2 synthetic courts with full lights, and just in the previous tennis ground place. And this is a good facility. And regularly we are playing, and many students are coming, school boys are coming. And there was a shocking news for us today. Yesterday, our tennis coach, Mr. Ishtiaq Ali, he expired because of the dengue complication. And we lost a good coach, and it is a quite setback, and we have to search for a new coach. But the tennis facilities are quite good at present, and many younger students are coming to participate in tennis. In basketball, we also added last year one synthetic court. On athletic ground, we added last year, we got some grants from the university games from the center, and a sprinkler system for the maintenance of the grass was added. At the cricket pavilion, we have some facilities which are not there before. We have a bowling machine now, and during practices, players are using the bowling machine. We have a digital screen which was provided by Bayer Mustafa. We have a modern lawn mower, and we can this lawn can be maintained within few hours, which used to take for a few days. Regarding some facilities which I would like to point out that we are lacking, we are still trying to get these facilities, like in the hiking and monitoring club. We don't have a place, we don't have a wall and the complex or the training. So we have made a proposal a few times and submitted to the university and to the center, but we could not get this wall and the complex for the hiking and mountaineering club. Regarding riding club, the building and the stable is quite old, and it requires a renovation. We have submitted a proposal. Hopefully, we'll get some funds and we can renovate this. Regarding the cricket pavilion, again, last year we organized Cricket University. It was a good tournament and we won the Intervarsity. And during the closing ceremony, Mr. Rajiv Shukla, who is the UPCA chairman, he promised us that he will give us a Ranji match also. We are organizing some state match, some inter-state match of under 19 and under 21 every year. But for Ranji Trophy, he promised that you change some basic facilities there, made more pitches, and have a separate dressing rooms for the different teams. So it requires some modification and some facilities to be improved, and hopefully we'll get next year one Ranji match also. Regarding continuing with the cricket club, we have submitted a proposal to have lights so that we can play a day-night cricket there. And because it is becoming more popular and more tournaments can be organized if we have a light facilities and we can play a day-night match there. So we have submitted a proposal, still it is not fulfilled. Other disciplines which are not here in the games committee can be added to the games committee, like we don't have a golf course. In the last few years, previous Vice Chancellor, Mr. Shah, was quite interested in golf, and some work was done at the riding club field, which is there, and still it was not completed. Shooting, we are having players, but we don't have a place. We don't have a shooting range here, and there is a proposal for this also. Taekwondo, it is not a regular club here. Boxing, no regular club here. But the team is players are there which are taking parts in different tournaments, and they are always asking that we should have a team of the university also. We should have a club of the university also. So these things are not here, but still we are trying to get more disciplines added to the games committee. We have submitted some proposals to the center. Like one stadium proposal has been submitted to the center, because the government asked to submit it, and it is about 65 crores rupees proposal of stadium, which will include a big stadium and indoor stadium also adjoining to that stadium. It will be a full-fledged stadium. We have submitted a proposal, still no news of approval. Sports hostel, we have for the sports category students, we have submitted a proposal. We have made a layout of the facility, but still it is not approved. Regarding cricket academy, there is now a proposal from the pupils in the UAE, and they've come forward. There is an association of alumni there, and they've come forward and they're asking us that they will be helping us to establish this cricket academy. They have made a proposal, and this Professor Afsar Mustafa, who was the previous game secretary, is a part of that team who is helping to establish this academy. Mr. Shahab and Bayan Mustafa is also there. They are helping, and maybe next year we'll start this academy. These are the things which require some attention, and if the people or alumni there in the USA and other parts of the world can come forward to establish different things which are lacking and new disciplines which can be added to the games committee. So I again thanks to all, and I complete my talk here, and other panelists may give their opinion on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rizvi, for apprising the present position and your plan for the future development of the sports activity. But now I request Mr. Parvez Khan. Mr. Parvez is there?
Yes, I am here.
Okay. Parvez. Parvez, you heard Mr. Rizvi, and we were also understand the background, and if you see the actual development on the ground is require a lot of efforts to improve our sports activity in the present situation. And you being a banker, investment banker, you understand is how the things can be funded. Proposal is fine. With all due respect to Mr. Rizvi and university's authorities, but to get the clearance from the proposal for all these activities in the present economic situation or the conditions of the India is not possible to get it as fast as you think. But now additional support is required from the alumni how to develop. Parvez, what is your opinion after listening them, how to improve it and how to do it so that we as alumni can plan after that, not right now anything, we can again meet together.
Ishaq, before I think we talk about how we go about the future, I think we need to look at the past also. I think Zafar Bhai is there. I mean, he has been our inspiration when we were in school, along with Bhai, you and other seniors. I think facilities don't make a sportsman. That's my understanding. I'll be very honest with you. I mean, when we were there, you were there, what kind of facilities were there? It's the propagation of the sports on the sports field that produces the sports person. And if you look at the participation of the sports at the current level at AMU, it has gone down dramatically. I mean, that's my understanding and feel. I might be wrong. But more importantly, I mean, I can talk about the 1980s when I was a student at the university. And Aligarh, I mean, as Mr. Asim has elaborated, has always had a tradition of a good cricket team. I mean, Fasad was younger brother. We had a lot of honors we brought to Aligarh. Rusharat is with me here. I had the honor of representing Qatar and captain Qatar, and we played in the Asian Cricket Championship. But more importantly, where did we get all these skills? We got it from Aligarh. We got it from Aligarh. We got it from the cricket grounds of Aligarh. You don't develop the skills at the age of 24, 25 or 30. You develop these skills when you're 15, 16, 17. I mean, I can just tell you one very important element that used to take place. We used to have the months of October to January, February full of sports activity at the AMU. I mean, I don't know what has happened to the inter-hall competitions. I mean, the cricket fields of the halls were having multiple cricket tournaments among the hostels, amongst the halls. So I think we need to go back there first, Ishtaq, before we move to the facility. Because, and I mean, I can tell during my time in the university team, we used to go and play around the country. We were 6 or 7 people from engineering college. Now these, I mean, as Faisal Bhai just said earlier, we not only had to practice, we had to study too. So that culture, I think we need to bring it back. I had the pleasure of probably staying in the university in one of the good sports achievement. I mean, there was basketball team which played all India. There was a football team which played India. Faisal and Amir won so many tournaments. And the
Right.
good thing I think that sports teaches you is basically cross-functional understanding of societies and how to
Right.
leverage from the basic things that you have. That's the first thing that I think we need to go back to. I mean, I think Amjad Bhai probably remembers. I don't remember. I mean, I was part of his team when they organized All India Medical College cricket tournament, and there were teams from all over India. And AMU team did very well at that Jawaharlal Medical College. Now that culture has somehow gone down. I mean, of course,
Correct.
with the advent of internet, you have less sportsmen. But coming back to
Correct.
how do we move forward? I think we need to first go back to starting these sports activity at a grassroots level. Until unless we bring that, you cannot produce it. We can have the best infrastructure, but we will not produce a sportsman. And then, as Professor Asim was talking about, I think I can talk from cricket point of view. It teaches you multiple facets of public life. It teaches you how to be disciplined, how to communicate, and how to follow orders. There is a hierarchy that it teaches you, and it also teaches you a belief in your own skill sets. So when you come on the cricket field, you do not get daunted by your opposition's skills. You are confident about skills, you start communicating. And I think that is one thing that we need to develop. Develop how to cooperate amongst ourselves and how to leverage our skills. Coming back to the funding part, definitely, I think we can look at participating. There are various alumni associations which are looking to contribute to the alma mater. So I think with Mr. Rizvi, if he can share some of this project, we can look at it. And the most important component that you brought in your discussion is how to make sport as a viable commercial interest in Aligarh and how to generate jobs and careers out of this. So sports management has become a big industry there. Sports management is a very big industry. You don't have to be a player alone. You can be a organizer, you can be a financier, you can be a marketer. Sports is a very multi-billion-dollar industry, and unfortunately, cricket is the one that takes all the cake. And in our time, we never had that facilities or that low level of entry. You just, I mean, as somebody has said, that IPL gives you such a low barrier of entry that you need to be just one day, one game star, and you get a berth in the IPL. So there is a lot of opportunity, and I think we need to explore these opportunities and present it to the current crop of students that are there. And I would request the teachers to take an active interest. In our time, I think teachers took a personal interest in sports achievement and winning, and also basically winning as an important idea in the minds of the players. So that's my take on it. I think the financing part is a much broader discussion, which we can have it separately. But these are my thoughts on what we learned from Aligarh.
Excellent. In fact, I agree with you. 2 or 3 things are very important to become a great sports person. A motivation. B, a sporting culture and environment. And C, encouragement from the, of course, family side is also very important. I don't discuss too much right now. Now, thanks, Parvez, for your suggestions. And we will conclude the things in the end with Zafar, because Zafar is in the end, he has to recite, in fact, give the presidential address. Now, again, we have to discuss one of the important sports person is there is a captain of the riding club. Now, Mr. Ahmed, luckily I have been in riding club also more than 8 years. But what I heard with Mr. Rizvi about this status of the riding club, and I believe that in the riding activity, still we are only for 10 packing and gallop and trot and the old concept. What is your opinion about the riding club development? Or is it necessary, or is it possible to take a riding club in a big way where the polo can be introduced, show jumping can be introduced where our students can reach to the at least level of national level. Only one sport, in fact, since ages I am looking about the tent packing and nothing else. Right now, I am not in touch with the last 10 years with the riding club also or AMU. What is your take about riding club activities and what you have learned during that period as Parvez?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Regarding the riding club, there are different, phases to it. One, it initially provides horse riding to students, and at times when we were riding, that was quite recent, which was 20 years back. We had 100 plus riders, and sir, probably you must also have witnessed that at your time there were 3 batches, and we were having more than 100 riders and 20 odd horses, 22 odd horses. So if we are expected to achieve something on 20 horses with 100 plus riders, definitely we do not have many, disciplines of equestrian that we can excel. But yes, tent pegging is one such sport. It is a non-Olympic discipline. It is a world sport. We're having regular World Cups of tent pegging around the world. Indian teams are being selected and things like that. Probably for AMU, it is the cheapest and the easiest way to success in equestrian. Why? Because it does not require expensive horses. For show jumping, you need at least, if you don't need expensive horses, you need to buy good horses and you need to train them well. And you cannot give those horses to, 10 odd riders, because everybody will have a different riding style. And horses are very delicate animals. You must have, witnessed during the riding tenure at AMU. But we definitely can have something that can take us to the junior national level or the national level in show jumping, having 4 or 5 good show jumping horses, 5 horses, good tent pegging horses, dedicated to the team selected for AMU. Basic horsemanship should be there because it is a good pastime sport. It's a good luxury sport. It is a good exercise. It develops several skills. But to participate at the national level, and our team has excelled. AMU team has excelled in the past, and it is so glorifying. Professor Asim was, the way he was speaking, I remembered my time because I've heard all the stories from my seniors. The glorious stories of us winning 1974 national championship in Delhi. 3 of our riders won the national championship. Ajay, you were there. Oh, great to know. So. So that was the kind of motivation that we got at our time from our seniors, that and looking at the glorious history, we brought about a book containing the history, whatever history we could gather around from past captains. But the irony is, after 1974, there were a few achievements at the national level, but last 20 years, we don't see any achievements. And that is because probably, I'm not sure, I shouldn't be, pinpointing any faults. There are no faults. Probably, selection of horses is a very important factor. If you're concentrating on riding club, selection of horses is a very important feature if we want to excel in equestrian sports. Because any student coming to AMU, he or she might not have any facility prior to coming to the university. Nowadays, probably there are over 1,000 schools in India that have a riding facility. Say 10 years back, there were only 150 schools having a riding facility. And again, that was just a marketing exercise, not a regular learning of horse riding or horsemanship. But AMU definitely can excel at the national level. We can have several things that can be done, like organizing coaching camps from national coaches. With the kind of horses that we are having, firstly, if we get some good horses are not expensive. It is just the selection of horses that matters. I'm not talking about, more than 10 lakh horses, 5 lakh horses. I'm talking about maybe 1 lakh, 1.5 lakh of horses, which the university buys already. First selection is there. Then if we have a trainer that can train these horses for the players, and an able coach who has got the requisite experience and exposure to all the sports, especially all the disciplines that you were talking about, like dressage, show jumping, eventing. Eventing would be difficult, but AMU has got all the land, all the facility that we can have a beautiful eventing course. In Asian Games as well as in the Olympics, we have only 3 disciplines, that is eventing, dressage, and show jumping. Tent pegging again and endurance are non-Olympic disciplines, but they are followed worldwide. So all these sports can be developed. What earlier captain of I've just got
Hello. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Hello. Yes,
Can
I'm
you hear
audible.
me?
Hello. Yes, yes.
Yes, you're audible.
You have come. Yes. Yes. So, thanks, Mr.
So,
Ahmed. Yes, yes. Tell me. Sorry.
Acha, am I audible?
Yes, 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 yes. Very much.
And one thing what he was telling was participation at various competitions across India. For us as a riding club, it becomes difficult compared to other games, is because that we need to transport our own horses to various cities. Even if we want to participate at Delhi, we need to bring in our horses. So that's financially a constraint for the university at most of the times. Whereas other teams, they just need to go themselves and their kits. Here we need to transport our horses, camp our horses, and all the expenses that take place.
True.
But participation is a must. We do get horses. We do get horses everywhere. Wherever we go, we can hire horses. We can take horses. But unless and until the student gets the exposure of playing at various competitions, we cannot expect a student going to the national first time and winning a medal. I'll tell you an example of a Haryana police rider. He was in my team, the team I was coach of, the Indian team. He participated for 22 years without winning a medal at the national level. But after 22 years, he had 10 more years with Haryana police, and every year he was a gold medalist.
Great.
But that 22 years was a long time. But if we have caliber in our students, I've seen lately, I've been organizing national and international events in India myself. I've seen students reaching to the 4th position, 5th position of the national championship. But they're unable to come the next time they want to participate because either the captain is gone or the team is unable to participate and things like that.
Okay. So, Mr. Ahmed, you are still involved in equestrian activities in some way?
I'm professionally also involved. I am presently the coach and manager of Indian equestrian tent pegging team, as well as I establish equestrian academies. I run several equestrian academies and other sports academies in India, in northern India, Noida, Ghaziabad, Chandigarh, Hisar, Gurgaon. So coming back to what we can do. Coming back to what we can do, we can start organizing more district, state, and national championships at AMU, which AMU has already done. In 2014, also AMU organized a national championship. And we can devise a program that helps students understand how to improve the sport and how to be able to compete at the national level. We can, from the Equestrian Federation of India, organize several coaching camps by international coaches. The Equestrian Federation of India facilitates all clubs, all academies by providing international coaches to different academies for a week, for 2 weeks, so that their students can learn the best skills from the best people around the world.
So nice to hear you that you are professionally involved.
And as Captain Saab just said, that it is a multi-billion-dollar sport industry. And equestrian also, as I spoke to you about, that we have 1,000 plus schools having equestrian facilities in India. So career opportunities are immense. We need to educate the students about the career opportunities that are already there in equestrian right now in India. And it is flourishing. From 2011, where we had 150 academies and schools, we have over 1,000 academies, those which are registered at EFI.
Good. So, thanks for your, in fact, views about the horse riding club and activities, and I'm personally very happy to listen that you are still involved and running the club also and doing professionally these activities. We will definitely be in touch and understand how further we can work together and help the AMU riding club to grow more and encourage the student how to participate. Now the next in fact panelist is Faisal Ziauddin. Faisal Ziauddin is I think he is still very active in the sports activity. He was an AMU captain and he represented AMU from 81 to 87 and university captain to 85, 86 and 90 and 91. And great background of the sports and lot of involvement in Aligarh. Faisal, tell me one thing. From the AMU, you were up to 91, I think. You left in 91.
Yes.
91. And during your period, what advantages you have seen that you are still getting in your professional activity in this sport?
Yeah, assalamu alaikum and good evening to all the participants today. And I'm very happy to be part of this conversation. Now let me just take back the audience 40 years. Yeah, we're talking about 1980 per se. What was 1980-81 like? I was taken to the courts in 1979 by my father Ziauddin Ahmad, who happened to be in Department of Botany. The courts at that time were frequented by late Ustad Nawabuddin Sahab, Zamiruddin Alvi Sahab, Asjad Sahab, Aslam Qadir Sahab, Saidur Rahman Sahab. So this was the flavor with which we grew. Not to forget the daily 3 p.m. arrival of Professor Shahab Sahab, father of Zafar Bhai, with his entire entourage of PhD scholars. Yeah, the moment he used to come, he used to ask us, Kaptan Sahab, aaj mood kya hai? Zor lagana hai ke nahi lagana hai? So this is the flavor with which we grew. I played my first intervarsity in 1981 under the captainship of Faisal Salim Bhai, and also shared luckily, with Shahid Jamil Bhai the tennis courts. Yeah. So what happens when you interact with such fine gentlemen? These people teach you and the fellow players how to behave in a sober, mature manner, respecting the seniors and learning a lot about fair play. Besides, the very simple, which becomes, the skills of the game definitely are much simpler than character building. A bit cliched it may sound, but sports definitely inculcates a good habit of sportsmanship, which for a sportsman, it's very easy to constantly, even while he's losing, to learn and keep improving. All of us agree to that, correct? So this is all that AMU gives. Now, what is happening in present times is, like Amjad Bhai said, we have a big inventory of facilities around the campus. We have cricket fields, we have a couple of swimming pools, we have tennis grounds, we have astroturf, we have table tennis, we have all kinds of tennis courts, grass, synthetic, football fields, basketball. But what we lack are the kids, the boys and girls, appearing there every day, 1:30, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. Yeah. So how do we get these people on board? Now, the good example for all of us, and that resonates very well with me, is the skating rink, where the great guy Ali Akbar somehow is managing a great magical show, since last 20-25 years. Why we cannot replicate that in other areas of, say, the adjacent football fields, the basketball courts, which we always talk about, the tennis courts? What is stopping us? Now, the number one thing that I believe sitting down in 2020, which is stopping us, is that we have a very ad hoc games committee whose job is not full-time looking after games and sports. We got to have in 2020 a full-time dedicated guy, something like, let me just think very loudly. Let us privatize games. Let us make it as a cost center with profit and loss. Let us assign a full-time chief operating officer for it. And let us see that we cannot turn that table around. For sure, when you have full-time dedicated guy, corporates change, multi-billion-dollar corporates change when you change the CEOs. We're talking about a very small entity here with about some inventory of 10, 20 fields, about say 3,000 to 4,000 active players that we have in the period from 80 to 87, 88. Yeah. Why I'm going back to that period is that we came very close to winning the Guru Nanak Dev in, if I remember correctly, and Faisal Bhai, please correct me if I'm wrong. We lost that Guru Nanak Dev trophy by 4 points. Yeah. Now, what is Guru Nanak Dev? Guru Nanak Dev is the excellence trophy for all the universities across all sports, which includes, the entire 16 disciplines or 20 disciplines which Amjad Bhai was talking.
Faisal,
Yes.
you can correct yourself. It is Abul Kalam Azad Trophy, not Guru
Yeah,
Nanak
it was
Dev.
Abul
Guru
Kalam
Nanak
Azad.
Dev is a
Okay,
university.
yeah, very good.
Correct
Thank you
yourself.
very much. But the university that took it was Guru Nanak Dev.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I was involved with that effort when we came second, so I remember very correct.
Wonderful. Thank you, dear. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah. So this is my view. Then who is stopping us to put out reach out programs for the local students? Yeah, we have so many schools set up now across. Earlier we used to have Lady Fatma in the my initial years. Then we had Minto Circle. Now we have a whole bunch of them. We have Aligarh Public School. We have, I don't know, Blossom, and luckily, unluckily, I still go to Aligarh maybe once, twice a year. So I am very well aware what actually is happening on the ground. My parents still live there. I am a very proud Aligharian. Yeah. So then coming to one thing that always keeps bothering me is the physical education department. What is the existence? What is the roles and responsibilities? What does this department entail per se? Yeah. Why we are not preparing our coaches coming from this department? What is stopping us? Can we break this box and see that we are able to, bring our own in-house coaches? So I think this will be my question to Amjad Bhai, to maybe throw some light on it. Is it possible legally? What is stopping us? Why we cannot do it? What is stopping us to reach out to the local student fraternity? What is the state of admission seats that we used to have? I remember we had 2 in MBA, maybe 2 or 3 in engineering colleges, maybe a couple of them in arts faculties and elsewhere. Some of my friends were the beneficiaries and they are doing pretty well in their later life. So for sure, this will be a good idea to revisit it. Yeah. Anything that I have missed, please feel free to share it with the panel. Luckily, after 30-40 years, we are here again, and to relive the fond memories that I had with Faisal Bhai is still here, smiling. I had one of the fairest trials, by the way, when in 81, when I was in PUC. I was literally a starter in PUC. There were 9 seniors to me, and this was the fairest trial done under the watchful eyes of Faisal Bhai, Aslam Qadir Saab, and Zamiruddin Alvi Saab. I was able to beat all the 9 just because it was a fair trial, which So I have very fond memories of this stay of mine. And I did my master's in industrial engineering in 91. I did my graduation in mechanical engineering. So it's been fun, great years. Yeah, and I look forward. Okay, coming to the alumni side, what alumni can do. I always interact with people like Parvez, lot of people back in India, who are very keen when it comes to funding. But it's high time that we go beyond funding. Funding is a one-time thing, which is a good idea. We should set up facilities, but we lose the bigger picture, which is, getting the whole spirit of sports reignited at the campus. So if that doesn't happen, this funding will be like, we are building just like something that Mayawati built in near Noida. A university I visited last year. It's a great university, but there's hardly any student there. So we don't want to build facilities which are not occupied, where the kids don't run around, where we don't build champions. So this is my view. We can with the learned panel and the participant that we have. I am also wondering and thinking very loud that let us set up a steering committee, say which puts up a immediate and medium and long-term plan of how to turn around. I do that all the time, change and transformation. Yeah, that is my bread and butter. So I am always excited about turning around businesses. I am always excited around turning around institutions and sports per se. So let us think loud on it, and it's a very good start. We are all here today, and I look forward to more of such engaging sessions. Thank you very much. Thank you very much all.
In fact, I am thankful for all my panelists. Now, during the discussion, Mr. Parvez Khan rightly pointed out about the motivation aspect of building the sports activities and skill among the young age. And Mr. Ahmed has pointed out about the problem for development of the equestrian sports because of funding and as well as the very luxurious and costly sports. I am also part of it. I am definitely agree with Mr. Ahmed about this activity. As far as the Faisal, your views is concerned, there is no doubt about it, but there is certainly some legal issues for managing the games committee in a corporate way. But definitely, of course, my own experience and Mr. Zafar is also added, forget for a individual motivation and individual family. I have no hesitation to say, because everybody knows my family also. Everyone was a sportsman in my family. And credit goes to my parents also. Because of lot of encouragement, my all brothers played good games, cricket or whatever they did. And even I will say that the performance I have seen with lot of motivation, encouragement for the best sportsman in Aligarh is family support. But now things has been changed. As rightly pointed out by the sports is a big business, big industries. Now it should be encouraged as a career also. How the university can build up their system and mechanism as a faculty now and push people to develop them in the career oriented approach where they can employ it as a player as well as coach as well as administrator, because everywhere you will see that opportunities is coming within the India, outside India. This is my, in fact, little interactions and knowledge with the people where I am working in Bombay. Lot of, in fact, sports companies coming up. I am working for them, advising for them. And today, in fact, I have got an opportunity to read even a book on sports about management. I have never read it, this book. First time I have read it because of Faisal Salim, who pushed me to participate. Now I will request Mr. Zafar Iqbal to conclude the session with your experience and views and suggestions so that we can again try to meet certain group and find out how to help the Aligarh universities for development. Of course, I am one thing I am really appreciate Faisal Ziauddin, that games committee is also need a reorganization where the focus has to be there for development of the sport, not as a part-time management. Yes, Mr. Zafar Iqbal, please conclude.
सबसे पहले तो मैं सबको सलाम करना चाहता हूँ and would like to thank Aligarh Alumni Association of Washington, D.C. for inviting me as a part of the event. And nice to hear from all of you, all ex-captains and experience in their own game. There's no doubt about it. But after listening all the comments from different people, from Faisal, from AU and Parvez Khan and many more, and Amjad Rizvi Saab. Naturally, he's a secretary, University Games Committee, is the most important person who's running the show there. Ahmed Afsar. Before joining here, I also spoke to him regarding the riding club achievements. We should also appreciate the performance of the riding club in the past, because they did a good job. And also we missed the football contribution, the Shahab's father, Shahab, who captained the Aligarh Muslim University cricket team. His father used to play football. And many of you may not be knowing that he was a very great player, Iftikhar Ali Khan Sahab. And under his captainship, the university has won the 1956 All India University. So later on also, twice we won, but he started the move. But the fact is that Aligarh has all facilities. There's no doubt about it. The facilities is available at the doorstep. There's, when I shifted from Aligarh to Delhi, I faced a lot of problem because I used to travel from Vasant Vihar to National Stadium, which is closely to 17 kilometers on the scooter. So when I thought, university has a great facilities, if you have to walk down, you can reach to football ground, hockey and cricket and whatnot. So every facilities is there. There's no doubt about it. But what we need to do is how to motivate the students to take part. That is the main question here, because we have about 30,000 strength of our university, and hardly we see 300 students, all over the game facilities they are playing. Hardly, and it is maybe less than a 1% of 30,000. 300 is very close to 1% only. So we need to increase the number of students who can take part, not for the way we are discussing everybody should take part at the international level. There is no need to be, but everybody should be physically fit, mentally fit, and they should able to do their own work in a good way. That is my motivation. If you have potential, then naturally you can play at the highest level. And many of us, in cricket and hockey and football and tennis and all, the contribution of past students have really, inspired us also. In hockey also, we have produced number of Olympic players and who won the gold medal also, the silver medal also, and they have also played the Asian Games. But other players have also performed very well, like Iqbal Ali Beg also played the, the light blue India color. He grabbed it. So there were a number of players who also played. The fact is that we all, understanding the value of sports, but I don't know, the psyche of our students is very critical, for which I was fighting with the government also, and I was also the member of many committees. And in 1984, since then I was fighting the students, should have an opportunity to have a sporting syllabus, and that should be the part of the main curriculum. And the first time, a year back, when I got a call from the UGC, then I was really surprised why they have called me. Then they said, we want to have you in our committee. I thought, I am from the sports, what is kya lena dena hai sport, University Grant Commission ko. Then I realized, they wanted to have some kind of discussion how to go about it and how to introduce sports and sports sciences together as a syllabus, as a part of the syllabus for the journal, this thing like physics or chemistry or like other subjects. So it was for that only, and this is what I wanted to express my feeling. I'm really happy that this time the education policy has introduced this thing, and they have passed the bill in both the houses of the parliament and headed by the prime minister. So naturally, it has to be implemented in all the institution and in the universities of our country. So it's a very positive thought of the government in the sense that yes, there should be a syllabus, there should be a combination of sports and education should go together. And if a student is healthy enough, so naturally he will be good enough in education also. And once those students who are really not keen to take part in physical activities, now they will have an opportunity to play. And after having or taking the main course, the sports and the sports sciences as their course, and then they can perform. And once they will start playing, any game which they want to play. So that's a very good idea of the government that they have included. From the next year, I think what they have said to me, now it will be implemented in 2021 after the month of March. So I'm really happy that yes, it will be implemented, and most of the students may like to take that advantage. The other point is also, I'm saying the government is also very keen that we should develop a sporting culture in our country, because it is not only a faltu job. The people say कि खेलोगे कूदोगे होगे खराब and पढ़ोगे लिखोगे होगे नवाब. So that idea is the past idea of, and I'm sure that we have to understand that there are opportunities in our country. If the players are good enough, then there are many the professional leagues in our own country, like in hockey or football and the cricket and the badminton and whatnot, and the kabaddi also. We have a professional tournaments in our country, and I'm sure the students should realize that yes, sports is also a very strong business in our country. In future, I'm sure a lot of people have, Parvez Khan has mentioned, is a $1 billion business. So this is what I would like to mention. We should encourage our students to take part in the sporting activities. And I would also request the current Vice Chancellor, Professor Mansoor Saab, Tariq Mansoor Saab, he should encourage the student to take part, because he was earlier, before becoming the Vice Chancellor, he was the Sports Secretary for many years. So I'm sure he understands the value of the sporting activities in our life. And it teaches a lot, as mentioned by many speakers on the panel. It helps a lot, because we need sporting culture in our country, in the sense that we have a very diverse culture in our country. We have a different caste, creed, and religion, and this is the only department who can bring peace in the society. And we also understand it unites the people of our country. If you are playing any match, the Indian team is playing any match against any other country's team, so naturally we are united. Yes, India should win. Why not? And everybody is involved. So is the peacemaker. Is not a faltu job. Sport teaches a lot. I have learned a lot from the sports. I am not saying I have already only played hockey. I have learned a lot of things, how to respect each other. This is where we can say it has a great value. And I always appreciate it has taught me a lot. And the second point, which I would also like to mention, that though we are running our clubs in university by the faculty members, so naturally, if they don't have interest, so the situation will be different. Unlike like Zilur Rahman Khan Saab, who was my mentor, I would also like to mention that he used to come every day on the ground, and he used to ask why you have not played very good hockey yesterday. Today, what's your problem? I can solve you. He was so much close to the players. The player used to inspire from him. So that kind of culture we have to develop in our own university. There's no doubt about it. We don't have a potential. Every student has a potential. Only you have to put in the right direction. So that's what the main thing is that. So I would like to mention, yes, some people have said we should have a different, appointed CEO to run the show. That is also possible. There's nothing wrong in it, but it's very hard to do it. But in this, the way which I was talking about the sports in sports sciences as a subject which is going to be incorporated in every university or institution or school or colleges, the government is also saying the university should have their own committee, and they should decide what kind of subject they want to have it, so that they can sell the subject in the market. Not the subject should be sold in the market, so that the students can come and join like if you want to go to the Cambridge or Harvard or something, these institutions are run by the private bodies, not by the government. So naturally, they want to sell their product in the market, so that there should be a demand, and then you can ask for the money. You have to collect the money. So the government is initially giving the seed money to the university, but later on you have to then generate the money on your own, so that you can run the course in a different way. So I'm really thankful to Alumni Association of America. I won't take much time because I had been given only 5 minutes to wrap up the discussion, but definitely we knew each other, and now we can discuss later on also. We can communicate to each other. I'm really thankful to Usmani Sahab and Masood Sahab for having invited me or extended invitation to me on this day. So I'm really thankful, and I'm sure Aligarh Muslim University should produce many great players in future. There's no doubt about it. We can't do it. We have facilities. We have the other point which I would like to mention here. Can I have water, because I'm
sure.
Yes.
One thing I would like to mention, we are very much available. The past players who have done, or who have experience, they can be invited by the university games committee, and they can go there. They can coach the team, because every team doesn't have a proper coach, like a football or cricket. In addition to, even if you have a permanent coach or temporary coach, the players who have really excelled in the past, and the past students or alumni, they can go and coach them. This is what I had also suggested to many schools. in our area and around, okay, don't bother, because the school cannot appoint coaches for each games. It's very difficult for them to have a permanent job for them. But what I have said, okay, we have a pool of coaches, and we are very much interaction with them. If they need any help from past players, they can invite us. We can go there, we can teach them, we can guide them, we can train them. Sports is not a so easy task at this point of time. It's a very hard job. You have to compete with other teams, individually or as well as you have to have a set of rules. You have to follow the discipline. You have to follow the rule and regulation and the guidelines. You have to train yourself. It's not so easy, playing sports at the international level. Even at the intervarsity level, the sense is the same. The value of the matches are the same, whether you play at the university level or you play at the Olympic Games. It is more or less the same. If you're playing a game against 4th class to 5th class, the emotion, the excitement are more or less is the same at the Olympic level or the university level. So what I would say, yes, we have a potential, there's no doubt about it, but how to grab them? But the only thing I would say, we have a very bright future in our country in the sports. I'm saying, yes, there is a career-based sporting culture is being developed in our country. And the Prime Minister is very keen, I'm telling you. He has included the Khelo India. I'm also part of the committee of Khelo India. And they have also the Fit India. Every citizen should be fit enough to do the job better. If you are fit, you can do a better job. So, if I have a stamina, I can work more hours than the normal people. The sports person are the sharpest person, in the entire society. And why I say, because I worked in Indian Airlines as a secretary, the Sports Control Board. I headed the civil engineering department. I'm not praising myself, but I used to tell other sports persons from cricket or from football or tennis or whatever, the shooting and all. If you finish your active life, you must involve yourself in the mainstream. And really, I'm telling you, I used to tell the chairman, managing director of Indian Airlines and Air India, sir, we are a bunch of very intelligent people. Who are they? Man, we are a sports person. We are very intelligent, even if we are 10th pass, but our intelligence is not less than, anybody. And we take a very quick decision, is a very in our blood. I can't ask whether I should ask the coach whether I should score or not. So, you have been given the job, you are doing the job. So the sports person are really capable of doing any work. And at that time, at that level, you need to have a quick decision. So you can take a quick decision. The sports person is a lively man. I always consider कि स्पोर्ट्स पर्सन एक बाग के अंदर जो हमारा गार्डन है उसका एक फ्लावर होता है. वो जब वो फ्लावर खिलता है तो सब लोग उसको देखते हैं. तो मैं ऑलवेज गिव कि भाई जो स्पोर्ट्स ऐसी मेडिसिन है जिसने खा लिया तो बस वो समझिए सक्सेसफुल हो गया. जिंदगी में वो कभी मात नहीं खाएगा. ये मेरा यानी मैं कॉन्फिडेंटली मैं कह रहा हूँ कि जिस लड़के ने अगर स्पोर्ट्स खेल लिया तो वो जिंदगी में कभी मात नहीं खाएगा और वो हमेशा सक्सेस होगा. क्योंकि हमारे यहाँ तो कल्चर डेवलप इतना अच्छा है अलीगढ़ मुस्लिम यूनिवर्सिटी के अंदर कि जिस कल्चर से हम आए हैं वो अगर हम कल्चर शो करते हैं तो वो सब लोग अप्रिशिएट करते हैं कि आप कहाँ से आए हैं, आपके अंदर क्या तहजीब तमीज है. सो आई एम रियली थैंकफुल टू all of you. I have listened nice, words from all the ex-captains of the AMU. I'm really delighted to see you all, and I'm really thankful to the once again to Aligarh Alumni Association of Washington DC. And one more thing, Afzal Usmani Sahib, I have visited Washington DC 1979 when I played John F. Memorial Field Hockey. They used to say field hockey because there is another hockey there. The ice hockey is very popular game in America. So they differentiate as a field hockey. So we used to go and play the field hockey on the Columbus Day in the memorial. There is a polo ground. I still remember thrice we had gone there and thrice we have won. So the trophy we brought to India. So later on we couldn't go there to play that tournament. So I remember the Washington DC. But anyhow, I'm really thankful to all of you that you have listened my whatever best I could say.
Thanks. Thanks. Nice. In fact,
हम लोग जरूर मिलेंगे आपसे, और मैं तो चाहता था कि मैं उर्दू में ही बोलूं, मगर वो इंग्लिश की ऐसा सिलसिला चला कि वो फिर वो बोलना पड़ता है. मगर I still remember Zilur Rahman Khan Sahab was my mentor, and जब हम जाते थे तो वो हमेशा ये कहते थे कि जिस लैंग्वेज में तुम समझ सकते हो वो पढ़ना. और जब खुसरो साहब वाइस चांसलर थे, वाइस चांसलर अगर ग्राउंड पे आ गए हॉकी की, उन्होंने इंग्लिश में बात किया तो जिल्लुर रहमान साहब नेवर आंसर्ड इन इंग्लिश, ही ऑलवेज आंसर्ड इन उर्दू. और एक मर्तबा का किस्सा मैं आपको यूं बताना चाह रहा हूं कि एक प्रोफेसर थे इंग्लिश के, उन्होंने साहब इंग्लिश कुछ बोल दिया उनसे, तो पलट के वो तो खान साहब थे, गुस्सा आ जाता था, उनको यूं करते थे, कहने लगे वहाँ आप जनाब वहाँ इज नहीं आएगा आर आएगा, वहाँ लगा लीजिए आप जरा. तो he was also very competent person, and he used to teach me, even the civil subjects, so civil engineering subject also. So anyhow, I have shared my views. I am really thankful to all of you. Faisal Salim is there, the Parvez Khan is there. So I can see Ishtiyaq Ali Bhai, Javed Muhammad Sahab, so Afzal Usmani Sahab. Khair, anyhow, we'll see you sometime later.
Thank you, Zafar Bhai. Thank you.
जफर साहब, जफर साहब एक चीज मैं आपकी और शेयर करूंगा, बहुत लोगों को शायद ना मालूम हो. आप प्रैक्टिस किया करते थे अपने घर में कमरे के अंदर रात में हॉकी. मैं आपके फादर के साथ एक बार बैठा हुआ था, ऐसे ही आपकी जब देखी आके उन्होंने कहा ये जफर का कमरा है, ये रात को 12 बजे खेलने लगेगा हॉकी. वो मोटिवेशन
ये कि साहब हमारा कोर्टयार्ड था तार वाले बंगले में. कॉर्क बॉल होती थी तो वो मारता रहता था रॉन्ग फुट पे, तो बिल्डिंग डिपार्टमेंट वाले कहते भाई दरवाजा कौन तोड़ देता हर एक महीने के बाद. तो हमारी अम्मी कहती नहीं वैसे टूट गया होगा, क्योंकि वो ऐसे हल्का दरवाजा होता था, कॉर्क की बॉल होती थी तो उस पे मारते रहते थे. बहरहाल एक तो तार वाले बंगले की मैं बड़ी तारीफ करूंगा कि तार वाले बंगले का जो नाम लिया था हिदवाई साहब ने और दूसरे लोगों ने, तो वो हमारे तो शहरियार साहब हमारे पड़ोसी थे. तो बहुत सारे अख्तर अंसारी साहब थे, असलूब हमारे मोहल्ले के थे.
Thank you, Zafar Bhai, and thank you very much for your kind words for the association, and thank you Ishtiyaq Bhai and Faisal Salim Bhai and Kamran Ziauddin Sahab to put together this sports session. Definitely, I was not a sports person, but Zilur Rahman Sahab was also my teacher in physics lab. He used to take my physics lab, and I have the pleasure to meet you and all that. And once again, I would like to request, before moving forward, I just want to, I just realized that one of our former captain, Hussein Waheed Bhai, also joined the program. Thank you, Hussein Waheed Bhai, for joining the program. He was captain when I was a student there. And also, I just realized that Abdullah Bhai was also a captain of volleyball team of Aligarh Muslim University, as well as a coach. who is
Great.
a part of a founding member of the association. We have
तो
our
उनसे भी सुन लेते हैं आप, राय कुछ ना कुछ तो देते हो.
and one of our former president of the association, Muhammad Rashid, was also a captain of volleyball team in Aligarh Muslim University.
Oh,
So
अरे
we
भाई मैं भी कबड्डी का चैंपियन था आफ्ताब हॉस्टल में.
अच्छा आफ्ताब अतीक भाई भी.
अरे वाह, अरे
Anyway,
वाह.
thank you very much. I will we took a lot of time, but anyway, it was really nice, and I will request our secretary Muhammad Javi Saab to please present a word of thanks. Muhammad Javi Saab.
Assalamu alaikum. Shukriya Afzal bhai. We have a long list of participants to thank today, so please bear with me for a couple of minutes. On behalf of Aligarh Alumni Association, Washington, D.C., let me start by thanking the organizers, volunteers, and attendees for making today's program of Centennial Celebration a successful event. I thank Professor Sufyan Beg Sahab for starting today's program with a Tilawat-e-Quran and its translation. I thank Dr. Raziuddin Sahab for introducing us to today's esteemed speakers. I thank Professor Asim Siddiqui, Professor Shafiq Kidwai, and Professor Azarami Duk Safwi on very insightful, informative, and comprehensive lectures on AMU's contribution to English, Urdu, and Persian literature. I thank Faisal Salim Sahab for introducing us to Dr. Zafar Iqbal and facilitating the sports session for today's program. I thank Professor Asim Siddiqui Sahab again for providing us with a history of sports and sport personalities from AMU. And then I thank Ishtiaq Ali Sahab for moderating the panel discussion on sports and games revival at AMU, and the panelists, Professor Ahmad Rizvi, Professor Parvez Khan. I'm sorry, I think it's not Professor, my mistake, Mr. Parvez Khan, Mr. Faisal Ziauddin, and Mr. Ahmad Afsar for sharing us with their valuable thoughts and recommendations. And lastly, I thank Dr. Abdullah and Dr. Zafar Iqbal for presiding over literature and sports sessions and for the valuable presidential remarks. Please stay tuned for the Tarana. Thank you all.
Thank you, Javed Bhai. Before starting the Tarana, let me share the event of next week. We are having a very wonderful event next week also at 11 a.m. US Eastern Standard Time, 9:30 p.m. A talk by Professor Faizan Mustafa Sahab, and the topic is very interesting. That is Aligarh Muslim University, a 100-year journey, government, judiciary, and parliament. So
before concluding, if you allow, I would like to make a brief intervention, if you allow.
Hold on, just let me finish this and then we'll talk about that. Yeah. So this is the program. Basically, next week we have planned for that, and Faizan Mustafa Sahab agreed to deliver this talk. It will be very insightful and interesting to know the legalities and how the AMU has AMU took a journey of 100 years through government, judiciary, and the parliament. And we all know Professor Faizan Mustafa Sahab is one of our alumnus as well as a legal luminary of the country. So please tune in for next week's program and to listen to the talk of Professor Faizan Mustafa Sahab. I will stop and then basically I will start the Tarana. After that, I will request you to do the intervention. So let me start the Tarana so that we can finish the program. And thank you very much. And once again, I would like to request you all to please join our next week's program. Once again, thank you everybody from globally, from India, US, and across the world, from Middle East, to tune in for this program. And definitely it crossed all the limits. We have taken more time, but anyway, two more very important subjects were supposed to be covered. Maybe next time, if we do, we'll plan in a better way. But once again, thank you very much for your attending the program. And thank you for all the participants and speakers and panelists. Thank you, Zafar Bhai, Shahid Bhai, and Faisal Bhai, Kamran Saab, or Parvez Saab, Professor Asim Siddiqui Saab, and all everybody who participated in the program. And I would like to thank the association volunteers also for their efforts. Thank you very much.